Crypto. Y'all into crypto at all? Or?
Very little. I'm not real big into it, but I've been seeing, over the years how it's been evolving.
I see crypto as the future. If you pay attention to how money is being printed now and the value of money, especially through inflation and what we've seen in the past 4 years of after COVID, there were places that weren't even taking cash.
So somebody like me that's older, I don't fully understand it. How do you learn how to create your wallet? How do you learn how to transfer from wallet?
The way I learned was through YouTube, to be honest. Doing my due diligence and research. Why is this crypto valued this way? What does it actually do? Because Bitcoin is a stored value crypto. Then you have other cryptos like XRP, which is a crypto based in transfer of money from country to country. They can do it in real time as opposed to before they would have to call the other bank overseas. They'd have to wire the money. It'd take 5 to 15 days for them to change from US currency to Chinese currency or whatever. If you think about it, most people use Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal,
Apple Pay and all that.
and if you think about it, that's already a digital currency. It's just based off the dollar, but the dollar's being devalued and screwed. What crypto does is, all right, if we all believe in Bitcoin, we believe in its value now. We're holding it accountable to keep its value. That leaves the governments out of it. Whether we like it or not, if we're old school or not.
It's gonna go digital.
The Ruffled Feathers Podcast.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having us, man.
I appreciate y'all, man. New guests, as always.
Yeah.
We always try to make it of the people, for the people. I'm your host, Bird, tattoo artist of 14 years, self-taught. Here with my truth-seeking co-host, Pablo.
You already know. What's up, everybody?
What's up? I felt like they were going to answer you.
Maybe they will. Hopefully.
One of our guests today, Demel.
Yes.
Demel, thanks for joining us,
Yeah,
man.
thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. It's been great so far, man. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for coming, man. And our other
And then
guest
I'm Robert. It was an hour and a half drive almost in the rain, so it was a trip, man. It was a trip, but glad to be here. It's pretty cool. I like the setup.
Today. Thank you, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for making the trip. Means a lot.
Hour and a half?
Almost, because I actually came from my house straight down this way, so yeah.
Oh, well, shit. We'll return the favor.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, the
Yeah.
restaurant's closer. The restaurant is like 35, 40 minutes.
Okay.
But then like from my house to the restaurant and then around this way.
It's more like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
More like-
Either way, man, we're coming through too.
It's more like 45.
Yeah, it's worth it, man. It's worth it. We'll make it worth your while.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
restaurateur?
Yes, but not originally. Original background is operation, logistics, people development, leadership.
Oh,
And
nice.
One day I just decided I was going to open a restaurant. In May will be 10 years.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, congrats, man.
yeah.
That's a big step.
You passed the mark of
Yeah.
failure for restaurants, man.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
Yeah.
And you have 2 locations, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep, I'm in a gas station that I like because it's 2 minutes from my house, which is our original one that we started in 2015. And then I have the one that's in Crosby, which I sold in 2020, and then I bought it back like in mid-2022 because we needed a bigger kitchen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we were working on the food truck the last year, but it caught on fire this weekend, completely burned down. So,
What?
This weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 days ago, right?
man.
Yeah, 2 days ago, man.
Yeah.
What happened?
Arson said looked like the battery. I said I didn't think it was because my positive wasn't hooked up, but no, it torched, man, completely. Somebody just came banging on our door. Hey, man, your food truck's on fire. It was on fire. Like, and nothing is.
Oh, that's
Can't say
wild,
nothing.
man.
All the equipment was like was new, and it's gone.
Man, we're sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So.
A lot of things are on fire this year, man.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, but things could have been worse, man.
Yeah.
Luckily
Somebody
you're
could have
okay
got hurt,
and,
stuff like
you
that.
know.
Yeah. Could have spread over into the house or something.
Right.
Oh, so it was at
We'll
the
figure
house.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're working on it.
And damn, sorry to hear that, man. Demel, man, a little about yourself.
Yeah, man. So I'm from Louisiana originally. My wife and I moved here for work, man. We're from South Louisiana, small town, man, very small town. So this new country, this new city feel, man, it was eye opening.
How
moving
recent
out.
are you here?
We moved here. We've been here a couple of years now, but I still think about like the transition.
Yeah.
Because man, I'm coming from a town like we had one, red light. So I'm just like, hey man, I get out here, but I've lived in several different places, man. I lived out of the country for a couple of years, so it's been a lot. But from Louisiana, we came here for work, and I started a trucking company, so I'm from corporate America. Not in like the leadership, but more in like the sales and marketing aspect. I have my MBA in business administration. So I was kind of, trying to climb that corporate ladder. And then one day I was just like, man, if I'm going to be stressed out, then I'm going to stress over something for me, So I was like, hey, I'm going to start my own company, man. And I've been going in March. It'll be 3 years and 7 months. Yeah,
Nice,
3 years and 7 months, man. So
big,
it's been the grind, man.
People don't understand. It's a more free lifestyle, but it is way more anxiety and stress and
Yep.
yeah.
I tell my family back home, like, I'm never off. I'm never off, man. Like, when you work in that corporate job, you can clock out and forget about it and go home.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like I'm never off. There's always something to do. There's always something. And if you don't do it, then who's going to do it? So, man, hey, it's a big transition. Yeah.
That's what most people don't get in our situation. When you run your own life and you run your own business, you're responsible for your own taxes. You don't get that W-2 no more. So just put in TurboTax.
Yeah.
10 minutes, you're done.
Yeah.
It's different, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I think that's a big it helps you realize kind of more what life is about, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really get like encouraged, like this is something you got to figure out on your own. Like school don't teach you like you should start your own business. It kind of prepares you for like work for somebody else. It's easy. You could put your mind to rest, but I prefer, like you said, to stress. The stress is gonna be there. The pressure is gonna be there. I might as well do it for my own investment and my own well-being and future.
Yeah.
So that's good, man. It's good to have people like you on and to spread that message too, to encourage others that it is doable,
Yep.
And the biggest step is the first step.
Biggest step
The
is
hardest step
you
is
gotta
the first
jump,
step.
man.
Yeah.
You gotta jump. And then you feel like you're falling the whole time.
Yeah.
But I think some people get a misconception, right? Because they're like, well, I don't have an education, or I don't have a college degree to run a business. I don't have a college degree, and I stepped out and I jumped and I struggled. And I mean, even if you get good, you're still gonna struggle. You're gonna hit walls, you're gonna hit obstacles, because there's things that as you grow, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna be aware of. So one thing we learned when we were in class is, man, get a circle, right? Get a circle of like-minded people, because what you haven't gone through, they've been through, or what you done been through, they haven't, and y'all use each other to grow, and that was big for us. That definitely helped, and you walk into that room and the energy just changes, because you can be at home or you can be around your family and tell them, man, I got this idea. They're going to look at you like, man, you stupid, or man, you dumb. Like, what you doing? You got a good job. You get a good paycheck. Yeah. But when you walk out and you're on your own, it's different. Yeah. Like if you work for somebody and they mess up, like your life is in their hands, right? Yeah. But if you get off your butt, it ain't nobody's fault but yours. If you broke, it's because you're not grinding. Or you looking at things different. You need to look at it another way, right? Yeah. And I think that is the biggest thing for me. And I mean, honestly, like all honesty, my biggest thing was I don't like people telling me what to do, right? And because I had that drove me to try to be my own person. And I like money, right? I like to do things, and I like helping other people. And that's the difference, right? Because when you work for somebody, you're limited. And when you work for yourself, all limits are off. All bets are off. It's on you, right? And so when people say, why do you take that chance? Why do you play the lottery, right? Because you're hoping to hit it big, right? And that's the same thing that drives us. We just think different. Some people are scared.
And we're not betting on luck.
No.
We're betting on our hard work, our work ethic, our want to.
Yeah, right.
And then, like I tell him all the time, it's like, the money's going to come, but it's not going to come tomorrow. Yeah.
Nope.
And if you keep thinking it's going to come tomorrow, you're not doing it for the right reasons.
Right.
Yep.
You're doing it because you want the money. Right. And that's why most people, I think, well, I'd rather take the corporate job because I get my PTO, I get my benefits.
It's safe.
It's safe.
Yeah. Yep.
And we do need those people, right? Like, because
Yeah.
if we're going to build the business, we want those people that, want to be under our umbrella. Yeah. But you still want those minds that are like, I'm still going to bring you on, but if you're a good boss to me, like you're still putting that person in a position to where in 10, 15 years, they can go do what they want to do.
Yep.
because they brought more people in under your umbrella, and then and that's how kind of we should like build the communities, right? Like through our own businesses, and not just look so much at the big corporations to be who benefits the community, and that's what I just love about entrepreneurship, because man, it teaches
it's different,
you so much.
man. It's different, you know. And like he was saying, like he said he didn't have, like, I have the college background and
credentials and all that
and everything, man. And you don't, like he was saying, you don't know what you don't know. You know, and man, a lot of times, like when I first started, like my trucking company, I felt like I was on a treadmill.
Yeah.
You know, like I was just running in place. I was running really hard. Yeah. Working really hard, you know, but like it felt like I wasn't gaining the traction. Right. You know, until, I started meeting, like he said, like-minded people, and, really understanding, like, hey, man, like I came a long way with this, like when you start to look back and you be like, it was actually paying off, but you get that delayed gratification being an entrepreneur, man.
Yeah.
It's not that
slow cook.
It's
man.
a slow, man. So
but it's worth it though, because through the process you're learning so much, and you're acquiring skills and experience that you can only get through that platform and through those experiences, through that specific happening, So, and then, like you said, the gift is to give back. How do you help others? How do you spread that love? How do you spread what you've learned and not keep it to yourself, So I like that. I like that, man.
Yeah, because that takes out that ugly, I guess, guise that they have of capitalism, right? Of it's just all greed. But no, I mean, if you put in the work, you want to be compensated for it, right? Because that's the whole other aspect. It's like, well, it's all about the workers who created the company and made it big. It was like, nah, like, yes, that's important too, but who stuck their neck out to say, I'm gonna build this trucking company? Who stuck their neck out to say, I'm gonna build this restaurant? Why wouldn't you get the majority of the profits? Right. But again, as a good person who's centered, who still loves the people around them, you're not gonna just, if you ride with yourself and the spirit and God and whatever you want to call it, morality, then everything trickles down how it should be. And, and that's why I hate how capitalism gets a bad name, because of these greedy folks that, just go to school to become the CEO.
Man, funny story. Like, I was in a hiring process, like when I was expanding, like my trucking company, and being that you say that, not to like toot my own horn or nothing, but you get some of that like gratification back, man, because like I was hiring this guy, and one of my guys that was working for me at the time, he was like, hey man, like you're not gonna find a better boss out there better than DeMel, man. I was like, I didn't even know that like he thought of me like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't even know, and I was like, man, like that really keeps me grounded, because like I talk to my mom like almost every day. And she always tell me, DeMel, take your time, treat people right. Take your time, treat people right. And I was like, man, like I'm actually living it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm actually, and it just gave me a sense of gratitude, man. I was like, I really appreciated that, man.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that, because I came from the corporate world. I used to work retail in the Galleria. And, as a manager over there, you're hiring teenagers, college kids. And my biggest thing was my work ethic, right? So, and communication. So, a lot of these kids, were like dragging their legs, like, oh, man, he's always telling me to do something, like, and they were, they thought of me, whatever they thought of me. They'd leave, they'd go into their field of work, and then there was like 5 or 6 that would always come back, like, see me at the store, like, hey man, like, I didn't understand it back then, but you're one of the best bosses I ever had, because, like, you talked to me how, what you needed from me. You let me do my thing, and then you just checked up on me. You weren't hovering over me, and you understood, like, and now that I have these bosses and stuff, like, man, like, my bad. Yeah. I appreciate that.
It's humbling,
It is.
And I think it's important to be humble, because, like, you don't know what that person could do for you in the future, or if you run into them later, or like the seed that you planted can do for other people that they're gonna encounter.
Oh yeah.
You know?
So I know the podcast is Ruffled Feathers, so I have to ask the question. So what happens when you do come across that bad boss? Like you said, not burning the bridge, but what happens when you do come across that boss that you just feel like they just got it out for you? Like you can't do anything right. Even when you do it right, you can't do anything right. So in a situation like that, then like, how would you navigate something like that?
That's a good question.
You know?
But from my
Because it happens, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think
absolutely.
we've probably all been through it if we've been in somebody else's industry.
All right, let me see if I may.
Do you have any bad bosses that can come to your brain and be like,
Yeah,
and-
I do, and you know, usually it's a pride thing, right? Or either they've had experiences in the past where they were like belittled or like held back, or either even fear. And I think fear is something that we as humans like need to stay away from, or at least be aware of, right? So I spent a lot of time in a community. It was a Catholic community, right? And it was like there was responsibles. They call them responsibles. They were higher up, and there was this one person that was really complicated, you know. And a lot of those situations happen because they're intimidating, right? So I could see that other people were intimidated by this guy, and then I was intimidated too. And I'm not a confrontational person at all, but I realized the only way to go about this is to confront him and to be real with him. And most of the times you realize, man, when you bring that to somebody's face, then you put them in a situation where it's like, oh, it's real, you know? So I find it honesty, transparency, you know, and have those awkward, difficult conversations, man. Speak from the heart. And most of that, even though I approached them with fear and with shakiness, I put God in my heart. And so I was like, well, God, if you're putting this in me, like, you give me the strength and the courage, I'm going to do it. You know, whether I say the right words, whether I say the right things, or express it the right way. Yeah. Obviously, I took some time to think about it so that I didn't approach him in anger or out of emotion, and I was collected. And I see how much that worked. And sometimes those big, scary men buckle in those situations, you know? So you kind of, I don't necessarily want to be above anybody, you know, or hold a higher position, but I feel like, man, like if you are honest and direct, then you value yourself, you know, you put yourself in a position of like, look, like I'm gonna respect you, but I also respect back, you know. So that's what my experience is. And with bosses, I have situations where like, man, like, you know, bosses have power, you know, and they have the power to let you go. But it's like, man, if you're gonna fire me because I'm being real and I'm calling you out, that's on you. And that's just more about you than it is about me. And I think I'm willing to lose my job for the right thing, you know, to stand up for what's right.
Yeah. And see, I think a lot of them, man, in that situation, they play on that fear.
Absolutely.
Like they play on that fear that, hey, you're going to lose your job, you know. But until they come across the right one, and then it's just like, man, I could go and find another job, but I'm not going to sit here for this. You know?
That's a microcosm, though, of every situation. When and we've all seen it when, you know, somebody becomes a hall monitor. Hey, I'm the hall monitor now, and they want to flex their power. That happens in the family life. You know, you're the little brother, your big brother in charge of your little brothers. Hey, shut up. You know, it happens in small businesses, right? Like you give somebody the new managerial position, the key holder position. Yeah. And then they start, you know, flexing the power, and you know, it just goes up and up like that. And I think it's understanding like personalities and who deserves to be in these positions, not just because you did it well or you're a hard worker. I think that goes to a psychological thing where
when they get that power,
who's able to you know, handle that? Because when I was young and I got that power, that was me. You know, like I didn't know how to talk to people correctly, and I was more direct and more little asshole sometimes, and like, nah, I don't care, just do it. Yeah. And then, you know, I had to graduate from that because, you know, when you had your situation at the community, how old were you by then?
I was already in my late 30s.
Yeah, see?
You know, but it's also like...
Because you would have handled that different in your teens or early 20s.
Yeah. Come at them with some petty stuff, you know, or like emotional. Because most of us humans, we can't help but to be emotional and go off our emotions, you know. But you also have to realize that you're teaching that person something too, and you're humbling them now. And even if they don't react in the positive way, then they're gonna resonate in their brain and they're gonna think about it. And then later there's gonna be like, man, like you're gonna start putting things into perspective. You know, you dissect the situation and you're like, okay, I was wrong here, I was wrong there. So I think as humans, as individuals, as somebody that has a resilient mind, you want to be a firm individual, as a man, as a father, as a brother, as an uncle, as a teacher. You know, like we all have that little bit of responsibility to be like, man, like. Enough is enough, and the right thing is the right thing always, and there's no other way.
There has to be one, man. At least one in that family structure.
Right.
There has to be one that's, you know, that, like you're saying, be firm You know, and he's gonna be the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, but there has to
For
be
a little
one.
while. Yeah.
Until, like you
Until
said,
they
they come back.
realize they mature.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
again, that's
And funny you say that, funny you said that earlier, because the roles reversed. You know, once I spent more time in the community, I became a responsible, and then I'm, you know, honest. I like to be completely honest with myself, and I realized where I abused the power.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, kind of like, well, this is something I could do, but I'm gonna make him do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then when they would approach me with like, hey man, you starting to get a little too crazy. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
but I you know, I have to be humble enough to say, no, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and man up. Ain't nothing wrong with accepting it.
Dude, there's a movie about this. I think it's with Forrest Whitaker. There's a movie about this where they take 12 guys, right? And they put them in like this jailhouse like scenario, right? And they make 6 guys guards and 6 guys inmates. But they don't tell them like there's a light, like, hey, if you go overboard, they'll flash the light. And it's kind of like they're doing this study to see like, we're not going to give them anything special. We're just going to say that they're guards and they're inmates, right? And dude, over the time, the aggression is just completely, the guards they keep pushing the boundaries, man. You know, and then at the end of it, it's like at the end of the 30 days or whatever, they come in and they take them all out, and now they're all the same, you know. But they were all the same to begin with,
right.
you know. Like it wasn't no.
It's just
it's just the
thought.
mindset,
Yeah,
yeah.
title.
You know
It's
that
that
title,
title.
yeah.
Wow.
You know, so
That's powerful.
It's
So I think a lot of it stems from like your subconscious mind, right? So if we look at, I mean, obviously we were raised different than a lot of kids today. So we looked at how we were raised. It was a firm hand, firm stick, so to speak, right? Like, no, I'm the parent, you're the child, this is what you do. So then as you start to grow older, that's pretty much embedded in you. So when you get released into the real world, so to speak, now, okay, this is the only way I know how to lead, right? So I was raised with you're going to grind, you're going to work, it's going to be right, or you're going to get your butt whooped and then it's going to be right. There was no wrong.
Right.
So as you get older, it's engraved, like it's in your mind on this is how my leader taught me, like not conscience, so to speak. Like it was just a trait passed down from generation.
almost militarily.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
generation
Yeah.
to generation. So now you touch into, now I'm a leader, right? I get this opportunity. You're only going to lead based on what your mind knows.
Your
And it's not
experiences.
until we get older and we start researching on our own and finding somebody that's kind of broken that tradition and started leading a different way that we start looking at different perspectives on how to lead, right? Because leading is the same, no different than being a doctor or a lawyer or a mechanic. No matter which mechanic you go to, they are going to have different opinions, right? No matter what doctor you go to, they're going to have different opinions. So as you get older, and this is for anybody that's younger or learning or trying to grow as a leader, like take everybody you touch or everybody you encounter, like try to take from them, right? So, okay, this dude was an ass, excuse my French, but this dude was an ass. I know I shouldn't be that way because when he talked to me a certain way, I didn't want to go out there and be my best. I didn't want to perform my best, right? Because I didn't like that. So when I go and I decide to be a leader, I'm going to keep that in mind. And that's, I think, like I've had a lot of different leaders, different personalities. So it took me years to kind of understand. And as I grew as a person, then I understood, okay, you know, I can't shut you down. If you got an idea and I know you're not going to die or kill somebody else, hey man, give it a shot. Do I know the result before it happened? Yes. But do you know the result? No. But if I shut you down, are you going to want to keep coming to me with ideas? Or are you going to be like, nah, you don't listen, right?
Yeah.
And how are you going to grow as an individual if I shut you down and don't give you that opportunity?
Well, and like I tell my team here, just like speak up, like bring your ideas forward. It might not work or we might not do it, but at least, you know, like they say, like 2 minds are better than 1, 3 minds. Like sometimes that idea, like even with my clients, they're like, well, I'm not an artist. I don't know how to draw, or I'm not, you know, just tell me what you're thinking in your brain, because that can spark my creative mind to create that idea that you didn't know you had. You just, you know, needed to, you know, have someone, you know, create it for you, but you had everything you needed. And it's the same thing with that.
But also that's beautiful. The fact that you have a vision, you can make this vision happen just by communicating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like nobody's greater than anybody. Nobody has it all figured out. So, we encourage everybody to do that, man. It's hard to trust, right? But at some point you have to let go and you have to trust, and when you have that like-minded group, that's a support group, that's what you do. You bring those ideas. But you made a really good point when you say like, no, I don't want to. No, man, I have a great idea, but he keeps rejecting me, so I'm not. And then doing that idea dissolves, never again to be brought up, and you could have like lost something. So
Yeah, that could have been the million dollar idea that took you out to the next level.
Yeah, man, that's like so profound, like, man, because like just thinking about like what you were saying, like people only know like one way, like, man, like early on in my marriage, like my wife and I, we moved to like the Caribbean, man. So I was working in water sports at the time, and there was this old guy, this grandfather was teaching his grandson how to swim, right? Mm-hmm. And he was just dunking him. I mean, man, he was just dunking him left and right. This kid is crying, he's choking, he's crying, he's choking. I'm talking about snot bubbles are coming out, man. Yeah. He's crying so hard. And he's just steadily dunking him, and man. And so I was talking to one of the local guys that lived there, and he was like, DeMel, man, people only know what they know. That's probably how he was taught, how to swim. And I was like, and I sat back, man, and I thought about that, and that helped me like early on in my marriage, because I was like, I've only seen one way, and I've been closed off to, one way. Maybe I need to take a step back, and kind of reevaluate, and do things differently and seek that advice, like y'all were saying, man. But it's so true, like we get so caught up in what we know that we think that it's the only way. And when there's so many different, ways it can go,
I think that's what's cool about now too, and like what you are doing, what we're trying to do here. Even if you don't have those people around you, you have a YouTube now. You have these platforms that are slated to create more and generate more money than colleges, because of, we're going to be monetized teaching people things. You can go to a YouTube channel who's teaching you how to start doing a trucking business. What do's and don'ts of a restaurant. Tattoo tips. Production tips. How to set up a studio, how to run the lighting. All that stuff. And I think that's why I left school, because I was just like, I don't learn like this. I can't just sit in front of a teacher. I need to experience, because when you experience, you meet those bodies of like, that dude's an asshole. Like, I'm not gonna be like that. Or man, that manager, the way he talked to me, the way I didn't even know it then, but when I thought about it later, I was like, he eased me into what he needed me to do without making me feel like I was being taken advantage of. And, a lot of that finessing of conversation and knowing the personalities is I think what not only you need in the business, but we need in the world, because we ran, I don't know if y'all ever did this in the corporate world, we had a business meeting where we did like a personality test, and then it labels you like what type of personality you have. You're either like red, which is more, in the moment, aggressive. I'm red. Yellow, which is just more happy, sunshine, like always, you're more the mood generator. The green is more the empathetic, the listener. And then the blue is the more analytical. And then you can obviously be a combination of colors, but I was definitely more blue and red. And that was why I was having issues with just people, feeling like I was just being too brash with them when I was just asking them to do stuff. Because I'm just like, I'm not thinking, I'm not being emotional at all. I'm just saying, hey, we need to do this. When you get over here, get this done, and then to them, they're like, oh my God, he's being so mean to me. Like, and as I grew older and I started to realize like how different just people talk to you, I was like, it started to click to me. And so now I'm a totally different person from, like I said, like I would be a totally different person to different reactions of bad bosses now, but I don't want a boss now, because once you don't have a boss, you can't go back.
It's different.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to go back, man.
And I think that kind of segues me into crypto. Y'all into crypto? Y'all know about crypto? Have y'all gotten into crypto at all? Or?
Very little, man. Very little. I'm not real big into it. But I've been seeing, like, over the years, like, how it's been evolving, man.
You've been hearing it a little more. Yeah,
a little more. Even much so now, it seems like some of the professional athletes are trying to get paid or getting paid in crypto. I don't
that's
know,
right.
but
right.
yeah, man.
Who was it
like,
that got paid in?
I forget
the
who
wide
it was.
receiver from New York.
But man,
Beckham.
Was it OBJ?
I think it might have took a lot of his salary in Bitcoin.
Crypto. Yeah, man, Bitcoin. But man, I tell you what, I wish I would have known about it ahead of time, man.
Same.
Let me show y'all just a little quick basics of crypto. Just and for the audience, nobody who, if y'all haven't seen or understand really what crypto, this is just a quick little 101 on what crypto actually is. So if you can play that, Doctor.
Bitcoin represents something totally new that has never existed, and that is decentralized money that runs on the internet that you don't need to trust any third party to hold or use. You basically can choose to hold it by holding a private key. You can either memorize it in your head, have it on a piece of paper, put it in a hardware wallet, or you can trust a third party like Abra or a crypto exchange or a bank to hold your Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin, and it does nothing else. You can move it between two people, you can hold it, that's all it does. It's really meant to act as like a digital gold and eventually act as the base layer for a new monetary system.
So that's basically all it is in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. And it takes the big banks out. It takes the government out. This is why many governments hate it. But this is also how people in Africa, if you want to leave Africa, over there the overlords are hoarding all the money but if you can get into access to a phone or any type of internet and you can exchange whatever your currency is for crypto, now you can buy you a plane ticket out of there. Now you can buy you a train ticket out of there. Now you can maybe buy some food for the village. So that's kind of where I see crypto as the future, and many others do, especially as entrepreneurs. And as people who, I don't know if you pay attention to how money is being printed now, and the value of money, especially through inflation and what we've seen in the past 4 years of after COVID and during COVID, and how there were places that weren't even taking cash. I made the mistake of not raising prices of my tattoos, and with inflation, after a couple of years, I realized I lost so much money because I didn't go with inflation and inflate my prices, because I'm trying to do right by my community.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm not greedy. I charge $200 an hour, but that's my inflation price now. There's artists that charge $10,000 a day, $15,000 a day, $20,000 a day.
That's great.
$500 an hour, $800 an hour,
and they're booked.
So I didn't mean to cut you off, but something you said in that, and as entrepreneurs, man, I feel like we get hung up on that. I'm not greedy. Mm-hmm. But where does the I'm not greedy and the fairness start?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you got to be able to navigate that. So
a
lot of times, we get caught in between that I'm not greedy, and then we get caught up in that, well, I got to make money.
Right.
So it's a fine line, man, between the I'm not greedy and, man, look, I need to be profitable. Mm-hmm. So like you're saying, man, I feel like that's a very controversial topic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because you don't, someone on the outside looking in it, oh man, you're too high. Right. And then they go right down the street and pay the same thing, pay more, for less quality. Yeah. Because you know what you bring to the table, and that's why you charge what you charge. Right. So you hey man, how do I?
Because I feel like a jackass sometimes when somebody comes at me and oh man, I've been traveling to Dallas to go to this artist. He's been charging me an extra $100 than you do, and his work's not even as good as yours. And I'm like, fuck, but because again, I don't want to just make myself a luxury tattoo artist where only people with money can get tattooed by me. I want to be able to tattoo the guy who still works hard and working, because I got clients they've got full sleeves done by me, but they work at in retail as a cashier, sales associate, making probably 25 to 30K a year. But they come and get one piece here and one piece there. Like, if I'm charging, $1,500 a session for at least the minimum 5 hours, like they can't get that work.
Yeah.
And like I'm not here to try to be a popular, Instagram tattoo artist. I'm here to just because I love to do art, and I love the conversations that when I started to do tattooing that like when someone passes away, they come doing a portrait, and you're like talking about that situation and the loved one dying in a boat, drowning, like that shit's real, bro. Like, and that's why I do it. Like, I love that shit. Like,
because you're in a sense you're a therapist. I'm sorry. Because you get and also you get clientele from all ranges. Kind of like working at the gym. Like I get to meet you. I get to meet a millionaire that does crypto. I get to meet a doctor, a surgeon. So it's like, but to kind of go to where you're at, man, it's like it is a topic that should be discussed because if you start chipping at yourself and your kids and if you start trying to be too nice and too kind. So that's a difficult.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
It is.
it's a tightrope to walk from greed to profitability.
Yeah. And then you look at like some of the larger corporations, right? And the ones that don't care.
Yeah, they don't give
And
a
you
fuck.
like no, and they taking all of the profit,
Right.
they're not
No
sharing
ethics,
nothing,
dude. Yeah.
no ethics.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, like, and you feel like, man, I'm a good guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is this not popping off the way theirs is popping off? And I think it is because of that greed. For some of them,
Right.
like they don't, dude, trucking is cutthroat, man.
Oh, I believe it.
Dude, I've met some people that like, you like, man, I don't know how you keep going, like
They'll leave you out in the dirt.
They don't care, man. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
I got so many stories, bro. I'm telling you, it's bad. But
I'll play devil's advocate. So as far as like the corporate people and greed or ethics, somewhere they had a foundation, right? We have to start somewhere. Now, when people say, oh, well, they don't need to profit that much or they don't need to make that much more, they can pay their employees this much, But you weren't there when I was starving. You weren't there when my wife was ready to leave me. You weren't there when, like, I didn't get to go to my kids' recital or get to go to their baseball game because I was busting my ass starting this company from the ground up, right? You weren't there when I had no money in my bank account. You weren't there when my bank account was negative. You weren't there when the government was fixing to throw me in jail because I didn't pay taxes. You weren't.
I think but I think those are two different entities. You got big corporations who hire a CEO that didn't do that.
that didn't do that, right?
Well,
right.
so the CEO isn't the owner.
They're not the owner-operator, right?
Exactly.
They're
Right.
the CEO
Uh-huh.
that went
They're
to
the
college,
Yeah.
that learned business, that got his business degree. Like the CEO that got popped off in New York. Like, these guys didn't create the business. They just came in to snake the hard work.
Yeah,
of
the
ethics.
employee,
That's why I said earlier how capitalism gets the bad name is because of those guys.
Yeah.
But the owner operators that did the blood, sweat, and tears is where we're talking about is the fine line
It's the
between
fine
greed
line,
and profitability.
Yeah.
Because
So how is it fair to your family to, like, how is it fair to your family to limit yourself in life and limit their life in the beginning because your focus is not trying to charge somebody too much money?
It's not fair.
It's
not fair.
That's a tough choice.
That's a tough choice.
Because look, like I'm a God-fearing man, right? And I have a strong faith, and that's kind of where we have to bring that into play because it's like God's not going to leave you out, right? But also, God doesn't want people to take advantage of you, So I guess you gotta find that thin or that happy middle.
we're back on that tightrope.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, you have to operate, and people are never gonna see what's behind the scenes. They're never gonna see how much. Oh, now your flour for your bread was $5. Now it's $10. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They like your burger, and why is it $2 extra
Right.
now?
Yeah.
Right.
So you just have to eat that. You just got to eat that, and God knows. So God knows that you have to charge up that $2 extra, and it's not your fault. Unfortunately, we have a government and a system that is based on ambition and on greed and unethical, that doesn't care about feelings or about your family or about, or you survive when you get enough, like that, and that's where it's like, that's again, that tightrope.
I think the tightrope walk that people don't understand is, and then I see this with our people within our age group who have kids. Like I got a ton of clients that are like, oh man, every time I tell my son to do something, he's all, nah, I'm not gonna do it, or he's just dragging ass and he ain't doing shit. And I got him these J's, I got him this PS1, I got him, all the clothes he wants. I'm like, well, why the fuck would I? Why would he? And that's the point where I see a lot of hardworking people giving their kids everything they want, and then I never had this, so like I don't do that to my kids. Like, if they want something, they got to work hard for it. They got to start bringing up a grade or something, and it's like it's a reward value system.
Yeah, it's give and take.
Yeah,
and you see that with Shaq with his kids. Like, he doesn't just give them everything.
Right.
He says they got to graduate college, then he'll invest money into them and all these types of things. Like even
and that's powerful, man.
It is,
that's priceless.
because it's hard to grow up with money like that and be humble.
Yeah.
But you only know that if you're taught that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, my dad used to work for the super rich guy, and he would make his kids, like, he bought him a beater car. He had dealerships, but he bought him a beater car just to get started. And the kid couldn't understand, but he knew that, okay, I have a car, at least I have a car. But it was like, and it was like, I couldn't understand it at the time either, because I was like, he's got the same kind of car that I got, and they're millionaires, what I'm saying? But with time, I get to understand that too. But also, to go back on what y'all are talking about, y'all's customers is going to be loyalty based, because your customers, they're going to come for a Bird because they're like, well, Bird listens, Bird understands, he cares, he puts love into the food, I see how he takes care of his restaurant's cleaning the employee. It shows, that's going to show, that's going to be, you can't, it's inevitable, it's going to radiate. So people will come to Mel and say, like, I like the way he does business, I like the way he talks to me, I like his structural background. And I think that just goes, without saying. I mean, if people are worried about you raising the prices because everything else is going up, then that's not your real loyal customer. So it's like, I think that's also a discernment where you gotta just say, like, you go with the flow, and it's like, man, I hate to do it, but I have to do it, and it's just what it is. And it's not like you're being an asshole. It's not like you're being a dick. It's just you're going with the.
And that's business 101, really. Like there's gonna be people that don't like the decisions you make. Yeah. And that's what a good CEO, has to do.
They take the brunt of a lot of it, man.
Yeah. And a parent does it.
Yeah.
My kids have told me, like, you don't understand. I'm like, okay.
I ain't been there before.
We'll see, baby girl. Like, we'll see.
But to kind of get back into Bitcoin, right?
I'm sorry.
So no, go ahead, man.
So I'll touch back on the crypto thing, because I know we got sidetracked. So I know a little bit. I understand it. I do watch it. But I think this will be a good question, like, for the podcast, right? So somebody like me that's older, I don't fully understand it. How do you learn how to create your wallet, so to speak? How do you learn how to transfer from wallets? Because I think like when you get stuff that you still have to move into a wallet, that's the prime time to buy, right? Because it hasn't hit the main exchanges, which when it hits the main exchanges, it really kind of takes off. So how do you get into the wallet stuff and do all the transfers and all that other crazy stuff? So
for starters, one, Bitcoin is, or just crypto in general, if we're looking like at how big it is as a whole, it's like a 3 to 5 year old right now. So it's got plenty of room to grow. Even though you're hearing about it still right now, most people don't even, just like the internet for a good while. It was AOL, dial-up. Not everyone had it. Some people thought email was retarded. Like, nobody's going to use that. I'll just send a letter, And so we're at that moment where we're in a good transition period. Obviously, just like with any stock or crypto, you don't want to buy when it's full price. You want to buy when it's on sale. But again, like, the way I learned was through YouTube, to be honest, and just doing my due diligence and research and saying, okay, why is this crypto valued this way, what does it actually do? Because Bitcoin is a stored value crypto. Then you have other cryptos like XRP, which is a crypto based in transfer of money from country to country. That can do it in real time, as opposed to before they would have to call the other bank overseas. They'd have to wire the money. It'd take 5 to 15 days for them to change from U.S. currency to, Chinese currency or whatever. Now there's an XRP that'll just, boom, it's transferred, it's done. So for businesses and banks, you can transact in real time now, and that makes you you save money now too, like that. You're not spending so much money, time and money, and waiting for these transfers to happen. And so each crypto has its own little avenue for what it can do for each business or person to person. So to me, that just like with anything, education starts. Like when I taught myself how to tattoo, so I read Tattooing for Idiots. I read, all types of tattoo history books. I watched other tattooers. I got tattooed, and anything I could engulf myself into tattooing, I did it. So that when I started my first tattoo, I wasn't just going in blind. Even though when I went into crypto, I bought at some of the worst times. So I thought, and 5 years ago and today, I'm still making money from it. But in those 2 years, I was down. But it's just one of those learning processes. And that would be my best advice, is just to watch multiple people. If you know someone who knows about it, talk to them. Because if you think about it, most people use Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal,
Apple Pay, and all that.
And if you think about it, that's already a digital currency. It's just based off the dollar. But the dollar's being devalued and screwed, and it's not on the gold standard anymore. So what crypto does is, all right, if we all believe in Bitcoin, we believe in its value now. So we're holding it accountable to keep its value. If we all start to say, no, we're going to start using these other cryptos, well, you and your community who believe in that other crypto give it its value. And that leaves the governments out of it. Now, obviously, the governments can partake in it if they want to, and they are, but that's also showing that it's going to be the new currency, because whether we like it or not, if we're old school or not, I'm sorry, if you're still writing letters, bro, nobody's reading them.
But that's the thing. I mean, whether we want to or not, whether we like it or not, it's going to happen. It's going to go digital.
So there's a conspiracy behind that digital currency. Mm-hmm. Are you guys familiar with it? So what do you think about that?
I think it's highly possible. And the conspiracy is that it was built by the CIA, that it was, that it's, I guess it's
I feel
made
like
by the CIA. It's created so that they can see all the transactions.
They can monitor everything.
And they can monitor everything.
There's nothing you will be able to buy without them knowing what crypto.
Right.
Like with cash, you could go buy something for cash,
they'll never know.
They'll never know.
Yeah.
That's the reason, like, I bring it up is because, like you said, the Cash App. Mm-hmm. The Cash App guy mysteriously was stabbed in Vegas.
Yes.
And the guy who created it. So now who's running it?
Yeah. And what was the reason behind it? There was something behind it, right? Like they were about to start going. They were starting moving towards it more.
You were
right?
supposed to. So they were going to start right before that happened. They were going to start monitoring, and you had to basically like 1099 or
like you
claim
had to
all
pay
your
taxes on it.
Over $600. Like that whole thing was fixing to roll out, and then that kind of like defeated the purpose. And then he just mysteriously got stabbed.
Isn't it funny? Like they always, he was mugged in the alley. All of the cameras and everything that in Vegas, dude. Like all of the cameras,
had nothing on them. Like
he had nothing. Like so, like how, and you never hear anything else about it. Did they catch the guy? Is he in jail? Like you never hear anything else. So I'm just like, man. I mean, I get it. It's all transitioning, but I'm not for it. Yeah.
I personally don't like it. Maybe mainly because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I have been doing a lot of research, and it's like if you look at this history of money, man, it continues to change. What do you call it?
It evolves.
It evolves. It turns into something else, and the only way to go is digital. But I think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Ruffled Feathers is what we do. Yes, to monitor every single transaction from every single individual, but also it's going to go into the digital ID.
Yes.
Whether that's a chip injected
Yes.
or something, everything's going
Yes.
to be in one, where you cannot duplicate anything else. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
hackers are going to find a way to do shit,
To do-
but
yeah.
that's, I think,
But that's
what
not going to be the
main-
common man. That's not going to be us. You
Well,
know, like
'cause,
we're
yeah.
not hackers.
Right.
So
Right.
we're going to be the
Well, we're
ones
not going
that's
to be
Right.
getting chipped.
right. We're going to be
No.
the ones
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
affected, though. You know, that's
Right.
just like overseas, like they have these social scores. You know, like, and if you have a low social score,
You
then
can't
you
buy
can't
anything.
access certain
Yeah.
things. You know, like
How the hell does your what do you call it? Your credit score affect your car insurance?
bro, like it's you know.
And some jobs.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like they're moving us toward that.
Right,
Like,
right, right.
oh,
That's what I mean.
we're gonna beat you guys into being good citizens. You
Yeah.
know, like it's
But that's the difference between, because they're also trying to do government crypto that like the USD, US dollar
USDC.
as the crypto, and they want to make that. But that would be, because I guess the openness of crypto is it's through the blockchain, so every transaction is verifiable that you're sending money to a real person. It's documented, and then it's free for all to see. And at this point, like I said, through what if you have the cash, but the stores are no longer taking cash? You're
stuck.
you're stuck. So obviously, we're getting into like also diversify into buying actual precious metals and gold, because let's say the dollar does go kaput, or the United States does go under attack. I mean, the dollar's done anyways, right there, right? Like,
Or like BRICS. You see how they
Yeah.
were trying to initiate BRICS to
right.
deface the U.S.
let's
dollar.
let's say that goes as the number one. Our dollars that we're holding in the bank is trash. It's
Yeah.
just is money to start a fire now.
Yep.
But the cryptos, they still retain their value. The gold that you should buy should still retain its value. But I think that's why the whole crypto thing, for me, I see its value, because if we look into what's happening in the world today, whether it's nationally or internationally, like with the bombing of the Tesla truck in front of Trump Tower on New Year's Day, like have y'all looked into that?
So what
story
it's
much?
no. So what? So
What
tell us
about you, Rob? Have you
I
heard?
didn't look into it.
But y'all
I
heard,
heard
the
about
story,
it. Yeah, I
right?
heard about
Because
it.
there was a simultaneous attack in New Orleans.
In New Orleans,
with
yeah.
You remember the New Orleans.
And these two guys were both Army Rangers, but as far as we can tell, they were not related. They just chose the same time to
Yeah.
do what they did.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I bring up the Tesla bombing is because, one, it automatically seemed like there's a message here, right? It's a Tesla at Trump Tower in Las Vegas, blew up with fireworks, didn't kill anybody. Green Beret was the guy who set it off, and then that's where most people are at right now.
let me interrupt you real quick. So, what do y'all relate from the two, right?
Tesla and Trump.
Yeah.
right?
So Elon Musk and Trump,
Yeah.
right? So, and just so we can get started, so we can get a little more educated, because I don't know much about it too. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna express what I know about this. I just know that on New Year's Eve there was a Tesla truck full of fireworks and other stuff, right?
On New Year's Day.
On New Year's Day, sorry,
Yeah.
that blew up at Trump's tower, right?
In Las Vegas, yeah.
In Las Vegas, and I know that he was military. That's all I really know. I didn't know he was a Green Beret. This is what I've learned recently. I feel like there was a message there linking the two, Elon and Trump, and that's pretty much all I know. There's definitely some suspicious. There's the timing and the placing. It's what's alerting, right? So now I know you
But
dug.
isn't Elon like part of the Trump administration or something? now?
Yes, it's like because they made that new the Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, where him and Vivek Ramaswamy, which I think is a beautiful idea. We need it. Is basically them two are going to go and look at government spending and all these departments and see where are we spending our money on, where are our tax dollars going to, and are we doing that right, or should that be something we don't even touch and cut these departments and stop spending so much money? And I think that doesn't sound, on the surface level, that sounds like a great
It
idea.
does overdue.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
our money.
Yeah.
We pay taxes.
Yeah.
And they've already brought up some things that we spend money on, and I'm just like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Like,
and then stuff that's just unaccounted for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Billions
Like,
of our money.
like the Pentagon has gone through, I think, 4 or 5 audits already, and each audit has at least 20 billion unaccounted
But
for.
the Pentagon is always losing money. I feel like every 5 years they lose like $1 trillion or something like. Hey,
Right.
you know, a report comes out. Hey, like we've lost billions of dollars.
Right. But nobody,
I feel like
nobody asks any
nobody
questions.
nobody says anything.
Nope.
Right.
And that's part of that whole like conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, man, like
But it's not a
what's really
conspiracy
going
anymore
on, you
when
know?
it's
Yeah.
because if,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you said,
Yeah.
if you're not paying taxes, who's coming at you? The IRS
Yeah.
Yeah, like if
for
they were,
20 for 20 grand.
if they were able to be like, okay, here are the receipts, then it's a total conspiracy. No receipts, raising shoulders,
Yeah.
that eliminates the conspiracy.
But all right, so let's just, like you said, play devil's advocate, right? So let's just say they track it down to one guy that knows the fall guy. It's usually a fall guy. Mysteriously, we'll hear a report, you know, a few months later that his plane crashes off the coast or some coast
Yep.
or something like that, and it
sure.
happens the same way,
all the time.
You know, like every time, you know. So like, how can we ever expect anything, you know, like different when we've constantly seen, you know, like over the course of time.
They've been asking that. I've been asking myself, and I think I've been, you know, you talk about numbers and seeing numbers, and for the past at least 7 years, I always get the 11s, and the 1111 is awareness. So I'm like, why do I never see the 444 or all these other numbers. I just always
like,
see
have you
11.
heard about that? Like angelic numbers. Like there's like spirituality connected with like 222, 333, 444. They're all supposed to be like angelic numbers, and it's like, you know, 11.
If you just
11.
happen to see them randomly, like you look at the time, it's
When you see 'em
2:22,
repeatedly.
or-
So it's funny that y'all bring this up, bro, because I want to say for the past 6 to 8 months, right, I've been seeing the force.
yeah.
Like no,
Yeah.
no, like
There's-
I'm telling you, I
and
told
they
it to one of my
each-
friends.
They
I
each
was like,
represent something
I think
individually.
the
So
fours,
look it up.
I think
dude.
the fours is your guardian angel.
Yeah, just talking to you. They're trying to get your attention.
about something.
Something.
Well,
Dude, like I said, I don't know if I believe
I
it or
need to
not.
look it up. 'Cause
Dude, I'm telling
I
you,
always,
like-
well, mine aren't back-to-back numbers. Like mine is always 17. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, so I walked in one day and I told the dude, I said, hey man, I need whatever lotto number whatever scratch off you have in 17, because I had dreamt it, won $100.
Yeah.
Like it was just weird.
yeah,
He was
'cause I
like,
mean, dude, look. So I definitely am very high in my spirituality and outside of this world, right? So they say like that it's a great awakening happening, you know. So if I'm sure y'all experienced it, you're starting to see like, well, okay, now there's a little something, even if it's a little ring,
Yeah.
you know, that
Yeah.
there's more to this existence than
Yeah,
we know.
than we know,
and
yeah.
it's been a cloak that's just been layered and layered and layered and layered to keep us blind, you know.
Right. So I've seen the 1111 so much. It is regarding awareness. So my whole thing is, I know we're not going to change 10 generations from now, right? Or we're not going to be able to know what happens.
Right.
But if we can bring awareness to, hey, every time we elect people, nothing happens. Be aware of that. Every time the government is fucking us over, we're trying to tell you, be aware of
Be
that.
aware of that, yeah.
And once you're aware of it, what can we do now? Well, we can vote with our wallets, right? We vote with, holding people accountable. We'll talk to our community like, hey, I know we think a certain way, but this guy is doing something different. People hate on Trump all day, every day. But when you look at what he's actually doing, it's these things that we need to happen. And that's create a smaller government, which is what Doge is doing, and cut all the spending and get us back to a shrink. It's like, because again, I come from the corporate world. Every time a store management staff would get fired, a new management staff would come in, and then the whole job position at that point was to go through everything. What were they doing wrong, and reassess, and then clean up all the fat from the staff that they hired, who's not doing much now, and then just kind of start from square one again. And that's what we have to do as a government and as a country. Otherwise, the corruption is just going to go everywhere. And the question is, are we too corrupt to go back?
so I don't know if you follow the Salvadorian president, but I was there. I was there, I think, 2 years ago.
I did.
and I was watching his thing, you know, and he was speaking to everybody, and he told them, hey, we're fixing to cut our basically like our government and stuff is going to be cut in half because we're too small of a country to have all of y'all.
Yeah.
And he's like, and don't think I don't notice. All y'all that are on your phone real quick typing and not clapping, we're coming for your job.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when he said, hey, we're going to accept Bitcoin as a currency. You know, the U.S. tried to get involved. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, that's not legal. He's like, look, you run your country how you do. I'll run it like mine. Now they have almost $500 million in Bitcoin, and they don't owe anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they've become a tourist attraction now.
Yeah. So, and I, like me and my family, like we're blessed to have seen it, right? Because back in, man, I don't remember, 2015, 2016, you know, we were in the streets. You had to be in your house by dark, right? When it was dark, you better be in your house.
So I'm sorry, are you Salvadorian?
No, I'm
descent?
not.
Oh, okay.
And my wife is. So we go and visit family. So we watched the whole transition to where you had to be in by dark. You had little Nissans, because they have like Nissans or Mitsubishis, and it would be full in the back. 8, 9 people, military masks, guns, you know, and they're always driving around. You have people, when you go to a store, you got somebody with a gun in the front. Your cashier has a gun. You know, everybody, you know, and in the last few years or since he's became president, it's different. You got people enjoying life in the streets after dark, having these big festivals, these big parties. You know, you can travel and not have to worry as much. But I've watched him change it, you know, and to me, it's like we need that change. And there's a lot of similarities that I see, like with Trump, the way he's building his cabinet or whatever. That's pretty similar.
Right.
But Elon's been over in El Salvador, right? They've met with him. Trump's been over there, and the only thing that's kind of weird is how, like, we're trying to push tariffs, but, like, if you watch them, they don't charge tariffs, right? They're trying to create an economy that's worldwide, you know, like to where everybody benefits. Everybody, you know, and it's not expensive for the country, but it's just crazy to be able to watch a country completely turn around from one person. You
But
know?
also can't forget the most important part is that he locked up anybody that could be or might be affiliated with
and
MS-13.
we try to step
They
any
built
gang.
a super jail.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, there's a documentary
Yeah.
on it. I
gonna have
recommend you
to
watch
check
it. It's
that out. Yeah.
amazing, bro.
Wow.
This guy, like, is what the world needed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
But you know, oftentimes, like, we see that, you know, we see, you know, they're starting to thrive, that economy is building, and then all of a sudden, here comes Big Brother for the sake of democracy. You know, that's always what they hide it under, that cloak of democracy. Oh, these people are being oppressed, but they're not.
Nope.
You know, and then the next thing you know, like, we're going to war with these people, man. You know, to try to push an agenda.
This is what people don't realize about the United States after World War II, and the president spoke about it back then, and we need to be careful about how much money the war created for businesses making the airplanes, the bullets, the guns, and all that, because we're creating a complex of military, economy. Yeah. And that's where we are today with all these wars, where like with the Ukraine and Russia thing, like we're sending billions over there, and yet we're spending nothing on these natural disasters that are happening here.
Yeah, it took me from July to what was it, like almost a few weeks ago maybe. I finally just got my disaster loan from the hurricane in July, right? So we struggling using credit cards because we lost power for like 2-3 weeks. We lost all our inventory, everything. And then, of course, insurance only gives you a small percentage. Like, no, we're not going to give you what you lost in sales and stuff like that. We'll give you what we think you should have profited based on the economic average, right? So the restaurant's 2023 it was 4.26 net profit. So I lost $9,000 because I lost 2 weeks of catering, right, for one company. So that was $9,000. I lost 2 weeks of sales. I lost 4 Amazon events. I lost a drop-off catering that was $3,500. So we're already well over $20,000, right?
Yeah.
They wrote me a check for $576 because they said, well, this is what your industry should have net profited based off of those.
come on.
That was it, you know? Like, it's crazy, you know? But yet we're just, boom.
Yeah.
Every month.
I didn't know that part of our natural disaster, like the bill passes, they say, okay, we got $100 billion to go towards disasters. some of that money goes overseas.
Yes.
It doesn't
You
stay
gotta read
inside the
page
U.S.
1,784.
And then it pays the people, working for these things.
Or it goes to like these larger corporations. You
Yeah.
know, like some of the COVID, like the employee retention.
Kanye.
Did you see like some of the?
Dude, like, I got
Did you see,
denied.
like,
He got
some of the-
$2 million.
That's what I'm saying. But like, for the employee retention, and a lot of them know, like, how to set certain things up to
Yep.
where they can look a certain way on paper, so that the money just funnels into them. Man, I'm just like, golly, we need change. You know,
Yes.
like.
That's why.
It's
That's
crazy.
where they were getting mad at Trump about wanting to change the tax codes and just make it simple.
Yep.
Just make it a percentage for everybody
Everybody, yeah.
across the board. Like, why would we fight that so hard? Yeah. It's just because people are so used to what we've been doing, and they're too lazy to just think critically about it and say, you know what? Just because I don't like the guy doesn't mean he's saying something wrong.
Right,
No, but a lot
right.
of people don't believe that that's true. A lot
Right.
of people think that our government is not capable of doing stuff
right,
like that.
Right.
That's the first step.
But that's kind of the mentality that they've built in America
Exactly.
now.
Yep.
Just because we have a difference of
Programming.
opinion, that makes us enemies, and that's so far from the truth, man.
Come on.
I feel like this country was built on diversity. It was a melting pot early on. I don't know, y'all might remember in school watching the melting pot video where they bring in the TV and they talk about how we all came together, and that's what it was built on. But I mean, like, come on, man, like. I don't know. I feel like they've done such a great job.
Yeah,
Such a great job at dividing.
I mean,
Yes.
we might look different, but we're a human race.
Yes.
There ain't no, other than that is division on purpose, intentionally.
Yeah.
So America, the governments or the officials that want to keep their pockets, stacked up, that's what they prey on. Because the more that we're fighting one another, the more that they get to go behind our backs and do whatever they want.
Do whatever
so it's
they
like
want, man.
we hold the power, we the people, but just most people aren't, I guess confident enough or strong
They're
enough.
dependent.
They're dependent.
That's
Yes.
actually a great.
They've
that's the
done a
statement,
good
yeah.
way to stop making us think critically, to make us rely on the government or businesses. Like, don't worry, Coca-Cola's always going to be here. Don't worry, Home Depot's always going to be here. Yeah. Because we saw during COVID was what? Essential, non-essential.
Yep.
So that was a hard label on me. It was like, how the fuck you going to tell me I'm non-essential?
Right.
Yeah.
I got a family that's totally
feed,
essential.
yep.
And, we worked underground. And it felt like prohibition.
Yeah.
I would assume. Yeah. We're coming in shifts. We're like, all right, I'm coming in, lock the door, I'm coming in. We're working in the room. Because we still, like for you, man, when shit goes down, there's no big brother say, all right, we're still paying all you guys. Yeah. And all these people are saying, everyone needs to stay home, and you're getting paid your PTO, or your big corporation, or your school who's government funded, or your hospital who's government funded is taking care of y'all.
Yeah, but
we didn't run that road.
Nope.
So that doesn't make you better than me to say you're not essential.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Because in a time like that, bro, it's like, okay, we have the numbers are ridiculous, dude. Billions of dollars to promote violence and war, but we can't say, okay, we got to shut down. We're gonna give everybody $1,000 a week just to survive. I mean, how can that not be a thing, bro? Like,
Wasn't it like a $600 stimulus check?
right? Something.
But then
once a month?
if you made
that probably still doesn't add up to those 500 billion.
I didn't even qualify for unemployment because I was self-employed. So they're giving all these people like the weekly whatever, right? Well, I wasn't paying enough taxes in because I wasn't a W-2 employee. I'm self-employed, right? So because I wasn't doing that, I didn't qualify. I got denied, right? So okay, now how can I hustle and make my money? And it's just crazy because like I can pay $30,000 to $40,000 every year for just employer taxes. So to have somebody like to create a job, to create a job that people need, I got to pay taxes on it, But yet, whenever my business had to shut down, I had no assistance. And people say, oh, well, yeah, they're offering this. Oh, they're offering that. Man, go in there and apply. Spend hours filling out stuff. Going to apply just to be told, nope, you didn't qualify. Yep. Nope, sorry, you didn't deny.
You made too much.
Yeah,
you make
it's
too much.
crazy.
Yeah,
Man.
that's
It's crazy.
treating people poorly, man.
And that's another
crazy.
thing. Trump wants to get rid of the payroll tax, which is that tax,
Yes.
which people don't realize we get taxed on. Or even just not being a W-2, you get taxed on.
Yep.
Even just being a 1099, you get taxed on.
Self-employment tax.
Yes. But and like again, it's a lot of these people who are very intelligent who went to school, but they stayed within that lane and went into the hospital, and they don't know what this real life situation is, so they just see that tunnel of like-minded people within their realm, and they don't realize how life works for another half of the country.
Probably more.
Probably more.
Because they just think, oh, they're complaining, they just want more, they want a handout. But man, we're the ones doing the most, getting the less.
We're the one grinding. Again, and I keep saying it.
All of this plays a part into this Tesla exploding, because this guy exposed a bunch of stuff.
So we're gonna.
Did he release some documents?
Yeah. He sent emails, because what he was trying to do before he blew up the truck, he wanted to get his message out. So he hit up, because he's a military guy. There was a Sam Shoemate he runs a military Instagram account. Got like 50,000 followers. He was trying to hit up Sean Ryan, which is a Navy SEAL who has a podcast. Joe Rogan. But again, like all these guys have millions of followers. The DMs are just gonna get lost.
Yeah.
But he was trying to reach out, so that's why he reached out to this Sam guy, because he had a smaller account. It was strictly military posts and stuff, and he actually saw it, but he didn't believe it. He was just like, yeah, okay. He even comments how he thought it was a joke, and he made a joke post about it, and then the shit goes down, and he's like, oh fuck. So then he goes and verifies it, and then turns out. What he was trying to talk about was actually real.
Like after it all happened, somebody contacted him and said, "Hey, dude, you need to check your DMs. You need to check your emails. Like go through them. He was like, "Man, like gotta go through a lot," but he ended up finding a bunch of stuff.
So we have pretty much this is that guy, the bald-headed dude is Sam. He's the one that runs the Instagram account, and he's on the Sean Ryan podcast.
The other guy's bald
which is the Navy SEAL. He's an ex-Navy SEAL, and this guy is also ex-military. So these guys are in the know. No.
Oh.
No.
Sorry.
Not these two.
Who's the other guy?
Yeah.
I didn't know who Matt Berg was, Matt Livelsberg, or anything else. He told me who he was in the email. He pointed me to his LinkedIn account. I didn't know any of this stuff, and I was just kind of being humorous with my audience. Like, I get these crazy messages sometimes. And then the day after that message, I wake up and my buddy was like, "Hey, Sam, nobody in the community seems to know this guy. Do you happen to know who he is?"
Do you want to play it now?
My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operations Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they want it. It's checkmate. The U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid.
Some Jason Bourne stuff.
Yeah.
Fucking A. So, what? Hearing that information, Tesla truck in front of Trump Tower, very capable Green Beret. It seems like a message. I don't even think he was in the truck, and because Teslas are self-driving, they said the DNA doesn't match from him to his child. So, and then they happen to find the ID in there, unburnt or whatever, like always, like, oh, look, we happen to have the ID of everything. That all lends into like the military-industrial complex, what many soldiers who see these things firsthand experience, and what we as civilians don't know jack shit about. And like these are the things I think he's trying to bring awareness to. It's like, hey, shit's popping off that these military contractors, these big military, like you've heard of Lockheed Martin. There's all these military contractors where I think all this hidden money or the lost money goes to building UFO-like devices that we know nothing about. We think our stealth fighters are at the top of our arsenal. There's so much secret shit we don't know about, and then that's considered a conspiracy when we know the billions are missing every year, when we know there's shit in the sky we can't fucking compute.
Yep.
So what are we supposed to do now?
But also, like, y'all understand the severity of anti-gravitational craft, right?
What do you mean?
So it means that it hovers and it uses the energy around the Earth, the universe. So it's like powerful. You know, there's no fuel. There's no need for fuel. There's no need for oil, even wires, maybe even. You know, so they've had the technology to use magnetic force, maybe gravitational.
We don't know how it works, but it's stuff that can do all that.
So basically, like a spacecraft.
So not, man. You know, like this is some really like deep stuff, man. Because like that's not only like even the weapons. You know, like that. It's like this weapon that they have, like they say that they use for the Hawaii fire.
Yeah. The direct energy.
The direct energy weapon, you know? So, like, they're saying, like, all of this stuff has been, like, developed over time, and they have them.
They've had it like 20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, like that. It's crazy, man. It's a lot that we don't know, you know?
So they use it as scare tactics, you know, because they slowly introduce it to us and introduce fear and keep us in that state. For that same purpose, taxes. We're fighting against taxes. We're fighting against, like, you know.
They'll just blast it at your house. And
right, but I mean, but then they have these ideas, you know. They want to make a 15-minute city in Maui, or what was it?
Maui,
LA, you know, and it's like strategic. Like, I mean, they're just to the point where they don't care anymore.
They don't.
They're gonna do whatever they do. They're gonna lie and say, "Oh yeah, wind in a match did this."
Yeah.
You know,
like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
but he has more info, right? Like,
yeah, but just to more harp on that, like it gives us, at least for me, because again, I bring Chump up again because people are like, well, how can you support this guy? He's such an asshole. He's a dickhead. He's always mean to people and this and that. I was like, I could care less about that. Look who he's fighting against and look who hates him. If I'm telling you the government is corrupt and is fucking us over, and you know,
and that's the people that's hate. Yeah,
look who hates him the most.
Yeah,
the media, the government, you know, big pharma. Like that tells you a lot about who your enemies are and who your friends are. Yeah. So take that with a grain of salt what he says, because if you're not in that situation, I was in a situation where the whole management staff was against me because I went to work, and they didn't like that. They went to work to play, to talk, to rub each other's shoulders, to look on cameras and act like they're busy. And because I went in there like and it just fucked with their whole situation, that's why I identify with Trump a lot, because I was like, I know how that feels when every day is a battle to just get shit done.
To do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing, you know? And it's like we live in a world where like our God, only God is good, right? But we are, I guess, obligated to try to do good. Yeah. So it's like always, every time you try to do good, what happens? Yeah. You know, like you didn't get what you rightfully deserved and what was rightfully yours. You got a 1% of that, like, you know, and this is our government. This is, I mean, that's the world pretty much, you know, but this is the powers at hand, you know. But if they're keeping this stuff from us, what else are they keeping from us? You know, like what other strategies do they use? You know?
Man, like, so GPS, AI, stuff like that. So when do you think GPS actually was created?
Oh, that was old.
I didn't realize how old it was.
Yeah.
You know?
The military had that in the 70s, maybe.
Yep. And before. Same thing
Probably
with AI.
before, yeah.
Like, I was trying to tell my kids, I was like, yeah, because they hadn't really watched Terminator, right? But Terminator movie was in the 80s. And what was it about? Like AI robots and stuff coming back in time, right? So this is a movie that was created in the 80s.
Yes.
And we're pretty close to the year that they came back.
Great movie, by the
from.
way.
Yeah. Because I want to say it was like 2029.
But did you know that Terminator was like the prequel to the Matrix.
Yes, bro.
So I saw that one. I saw that. Yeah, so
I
was
said
like,
that way before, bro. And everybody was just like, whatever. It's okay,
Yeah.
but you could link them. But now it's like right there, bro.
yeah, she came out and she said like, hey,
Yeah.
like this
Yeah,
is so.
she
It,
sued him because
Yeah.
they took her
idea.
book
It was her
idea
idea,
and
yeah.
made the 2 movies.
Yeah, it's a black lady, right?
yeah, dude, this crazy, man.
Yeah.
Bro,
1973.
Can you look up the like they were saying the vehicles with the propulsion and stuff and Terrence Howard. Look up Terrence Howard patents on. Have you seen him on the Joe Rogan podcast?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
Man,
He's on something.
where he talks about, you know, like he has the patents for those,
Yeah.
like the kind of
He
aircraft.
pretty much is like challenging science.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, man,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
bro,
yeah.
and it's
But and just to kind of go back to the Terminator stuff, bro, like there is a conspiracy, let's say that witchcraft and sorcerers, they have to put their stuff out in the blue in order for it to manifest and to work, right? But also we have to experience it. We have to feel emotions to help them manifest that too. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all or not, you know? But if you pay attention, you've seen a bunch of movies that predict the future and that kind of like tell us like, wait a minute, this is something that could
it's just
really
some
go
wild
down.
stuff. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we've seen the Alien movies, we've
Yeah.
seen the Jason Bourne movies and stuff like that. So they have it's a form of manifesting their deeds or their intentions. Yeah. You know. And yeah, I sound like a crazy person.
No,
I'm okay with that.
yeah,
you know? But it's
no.
like, man, like, I'd rather be aware and like know than be like,
man, a lot of that is factual.
Yeah.
You know, like when you look at it all, you know, like with the whole like, I'll bring up the Kobe Bryant situation. You know what I'm saying? Like here it is. He had that big lawsuit going on, you know, with that company, and then all of a sudden, like, he's gone.
Yeah.
You know, like, man, it's too coincidental.
very
And
coincidental.
his intentions to change LA, like he
Yeah.
wanted to make it a whole different place to live. Because I'm sure he saw the evil over there.
So yeah, man,
Yeah.
you know, and like, man, it's just a lot of that stuff is too coincidental. We have too many mysterious plane crashes or you know, something going on.
No, Kobe was a good dude, man, and
Yeah.
he had a resilient mind.
Yeah,
Because it's like, why would we not want to progress, bro?
Why
Like,
would
why
we
would
not
we not
wanna-
want to make better for everybody? You know, and I don't know. To me, it's confusing and
Yeah.
it's sad, you know, and it
Yeah.
angers me. But this is a good way of fighting back. you
fighting
know?
back,
Getting
yeah.
together,
Getting together,
yeah,
yeah.
informing one another. You know,
That's the whole intention of the podcast, is to talk about these things that sound like conspiracy, but like, how many facts do you need to change it from, in your mind, it's conspiracy to a high probability that
Yeah.
at least half the shit we're talking about is
It's-
honest and true
Yeah.
and provable. But, you know, that's when I'm like, all right, that's when you know, like, the Matrix is real. You know, like, they do just want to eat the steak. Like, not everybody's meant to wake up, right?
Not
Like,
everybody's meant to. Yeah.
but there are people that are on the edge that just aren't around people like us or listening to voices like this that are saying, because I've had it happen in my chair where I'm tattooing people and I bring up stuff like this and it happens naturally. I think that's how this show's idea got created naturally in my head, was just like, man, how come you haven't heard about this? And they're like, I've just never heard about it. Like, all right, so we start talking about it and, you know, they end up becoming years and years of client. And I see the change over time, and it's just like, it sucks because once you're on this side, it's
you
not
can't
as
go back.
green. It's not as green.
No.
It's not as green as you wanted it to be.
No.
But I'd rather be aware of the real shit than walk into the wrong neighborhood
Yeah.
because, you know, I'm naive
Right.
or buy
No.
the wrong shit, and
Yeah.
it's getting me sick because I'm naive.
Yeah. Like you said, man, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just live in that.
they prefer
you
to
know?
just be in their little bubble, man.
Yep. And not
But
know.
he pulled up that stuff you were talking about. Is this what you meant?
Yeah, man. Well, he has like some of those patents on those, you know, propulsion systems, and you know, he holds apparently, I guess he holds a lot of patents.
Yeah.
You know, on stuff like that, man. I didn't know that guy was that smart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so have you watched
Yeah.
him where he talks about, like, when he was in the womb, he kind of
Yes.
already was like thinking
Yeah,
and knew
he remembers
his purpose
being in the
because
womb.
he remembered
yeah.
it from his past
And that's
life.
that's a grace
Yeah.
of God, bro. That's a gift.
Yeah.
And he only brings when something goes public,
Mm-hmm.
then the patent has been cleared. So he doesn't bring. There's so many that he's waiting on that he can't roll out until like his patent is cleared. Then he'll bring it out to the public.
Well, have you seen them in any movies lately?
Nope.
No.
Well, he took a break from acting to do all this too.
Yeah.
But he is getting backlash from other, because you saw him on Rogan after that episode. He got on with Brett Weinstein, who's an actual what is Brett Weinstein? He's a scientist in what he's trying to science. So he's rebuttaling a lot of Terrence's claims with, I guess proven science over
Logic.
over time.
Yeah.
But I'm still in the camp with you. Like, just because that's traditionally what you have been told, just y'all might have had a formula that was already flawed to start with.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's downplaying him the whole time, but doing it nice. He's like, and Terrence throughout that episode is just, well, yeah, but what about this? And just being a natural curious child, because Terrence is listening to him like he knows what he's talking about too.
Yeah.
And he shuts down Terrence a few times, but I don't still think that Terrence isn't onto something, just because like I've had it happen to me where I've had OG tattoo artists tell me, well, dude, you can't tattoo black skin with white ink. Why not?
Yeah.
And I do it, and I'd seen it heal, and I was like, it's in there.
Yeah.
But you told me I couldn't.
Yeah.
What if I never tried it?
That's
What if I never
that's where
tried
the
it?
critical
Right.
thinking
Right.
comes into
That's where-
place,
yeah.
man. You
Yeah.
have to challenge these things.
You got to
man.
challenge
And you have
it,
to
man,
be able to
know?
be willing to say, okay, man, I was wrong about that. But I still had to try,
But it goes back to what I say, like our subconscious mind, because the way our generations brought us up, you weren't supposed to challenge thinking.
No doubt.
And
Yeah.
this is what it is, man. That's what
That's
it
it.
is,
It's
and
in
that's what you
stone.
need to
Yeah.
believe, right? And I think so. Sometimes with my kids are young and they're into, they watch all this, they learn all this different stuff that we didn't. So I always make sure I keep an open mind, right, and try to understand. And then again, like, okay, well, how do I teach them to grow, and what level are they at already, so I know where I need to be, or again, be open-minded,
Because you're
right?
still learning yourself.
Still learning
and
every
they're
day.
teaching you.
Yep. And they teach me different things. I look, I research, and so now trying to handle people is a whole lot different than when I was actually in the corporate world managing, right? You have to be more sensitive, or you have to kind of watch, okay, well, what is their thought process? How are they emotionally? Because it's way different now.
But even that is a flaw in the system. We have to be sensitive and delicate to this specific people. Like, I mean, okay, to a certain extent, obviously,
Compassion
courtesy,
is necessary,
compassion and respect,
Yeah.
100%. But I'm not gonna be over cautious because you're oversensitive,
Right.
And that's what's happening in our world today too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess this is a great opportunity for you guys to let us know what the resilient mind movement is and what would y'all say?
Man, I guess we'll start back on like how we met, and then kind of go through that. So we met at this program called Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business.
Yep.
Would you like to run?
You can go ahead.
So man, it's this program you go through. It's like 16 weeks of training, right?
Okay.
For your business, right? We meet every Friday. Goldman Sachs is large, man. Like
Yes.
it's across the country. A lot of people don't really know about it still, but it helps you really take a deep dive on your business. You go from financial, you go through like money marketing, you go through it's the people, operations and processes. And so Rob and I were in the same cohort. We were in cohort 38. And so we were in the same cohort. They divide you into these like accountability groups, right? And we weren't in the same accountability group, but when we met, like we clicked, so we were like, and I think since the class, like we talk like every day,
Yeah.
like, man, so we clicked and we talked, and, both of us kind of had this, resilient minds. Rob designed this, man. This is the logo. Rob designed it. And we were just like, hey, man, like we want to create something and get something out there that'll inspire the people, that'll encourage the people, where they can come and leave better than what they left, So if we can reach out to them, man, and we can upload like I designed the back of this one. Would it be cool if I show it now? Like the back of my thing. So this is kind of like the back. So that's kind of like,
You have to get a
Show it
little
to
low.
camera 3 over there.
Oh, camera 3.
there you
Yeah.
go.
So that's kind of the back of it.
Just watch this camera right here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So man, that's kind of the goal of it, man. We want to inspire. We want to inspire. We want to, help people and show people that we're average guys. We're just like you, and if we can do it, you can do it. And that's kind of anything I missed. Like, would you want to add to that?
That's it. Like, okay, so today when I was driving over here, right, you hear a lot of people say, it's not where you started, it's where you finished. So then I'm driving and I'm like, okay, that's kind of not 100% true, right? Because if you didn't go through what you went through in life and you didn't start where you started as an individual, would you be strong enough to be where you're at now and to keep going every day? So in a way, like that statement isn't 100%, right? Sometimes we need to go through things in life to become the next, the next person or the next level
the
of
higher,
your
the
life.
higher version of yourself.
The next version, the better version of yourself, and it's just again like being resilient, right? Because life's gonna punch you in the face 1,000 times,
All the time.
and as soon as you think you have life figured out, it's gonna punch you again.
It's not like we were saying, man. You know, it's not just for entrepreneurs. You know, we want to encourage, you know, the single mom out there working 2 jobs. You know, we want to encourage, you know, someone who may have, you know, been down in their luck. Maybe, you know, they went to jail or something like that, and they're trying to turn their life around. Or the person out there that's just trying to make it. You know, like it's not just geared toward business owners or entrepreneurs. You know, we want to encourage as many people and get the word out as many as we can.
Anyone and everyone.
Anyone and everyone, man. And let people come and tell their story. You know, we want to create that platform because like I always say, man, there's a lot of people out there with a lot to say, just no one to listen.
Yeah.
You know, so we want to give them that platform to come on and have people that'll listen and hear their story. And because what we go through, like you were saying, not all the time it's for us. You know, it's to sharpen us and strengthen us, but what you're going through might be meant to, you know, help someone else, might be meant to keep that person, you know, from jumping over that ledge or something, you know, man. You just never know who you're going to reach because, like you say, you're a firm believer. I'm a believer too. God puts us through situations to share, you know, not just to keep it bottled up, you know. Your testimony is meant to, he can use you. He's used people throughout the Bible to reach other people, you know, and that's the way I believe in that.
People.
Yeah, imperfect people.
Which is the story of the Bible.
Yes, yes,
Second
imperfect
chances,
people. Yes.
10th chances. I mean, it's just as long as we're breathing, man, we can turn, you know, we can turn for the ride.
It's never over, man. It's never over. You can always, you know, make that change, and that's what we want to encourage.
So what's your approach? Are you planning on having guests on the podcast as well? Are you gonna try to have maybe a part of your show where you create content, you know, giving guidance or using life experiences or
so using a lot of life experiences because Rob and I, through talking, you know, we realized that we have a lot that we've, you know, gone through, a lot that we've been through. So just using those stories and having guests on, you know, to come and talk and tell us their story, you know, and tell the people, you know, their story. So that, you know, like I said, like Rob was saying, you know, you never know what that person has gone through. You never know what they have been through. And if someone else didn't go through it, or maybe they might be walking into that situation, you know, and that you can kind of help them navigate, you know, how to, you know, maneuver in that situation or how to maneuver out of it.
Right.
You know, so that'll kind of be like the structure of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
And that's what different what the world needs, you know, because you don't know. I mean, even if you change one person, you know, but then that person changes a little bit of the world, you know.
The trickle effect.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
like
man.
I like that. And the name's good. The logo's great. I like
Thanks,
it.
man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're on a similar path, man. So that's why I think when he was telling me about your show, it's like, oh, it's very right in the same lane of where we're headed to.
And I got a free tattoo.
Yeah, free tattoos on the show. A lot of it.
I mean, but just think about it. Like when we think about like how God like orders like certain things, you know what I'm saying? Like here it is, we're working out, you know, and I don't know how we ended up talking about the podcast.
Yeah,
you know,
you kept seeing me working.
Yeah, I was like, hold on,
what are you doing?
Yeah, man. So
I stay
like
on that thing. I don't even realize it, bro. You know, because it's like it's become such a now it's work, right? Like at first it was fun, right? And but now it's like work, but it's also like. Now it's more than work because now it's a purpose. Now it's a goal. Now it's intentional. Yeah. So you asked me, you know, and I told you, and then from there you're like, well, man, and then you said that y'all were kind of like had everything on the back burner, and then after that, all of a sudden y'all picked up. So I mean, I can't help but be like, you know, I give glory to God, but I feel like, man, hopefully that got you started and kind of just give you that extra little push, you know, and that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, you know, that's what we're doing. Yeah. But I didn't mean to cut you off. You were saying something.
Oh, that's all good. No. I don't even know what I was going to say.
It's just a good opportunity to reinstate what Ruffled Feathers is. You know, let's hear what you got to say about it, man.
It's a similar message with just a different approach. It's just bringing awareness to, you know, life's evils and how it affects us all, and why I think it's so important to just not walk blindly and not believe blindly, or just to not care. Because if you're not caring but you claim to care about people, then, you know, you're part of the problem, and you're not helping. And then just seeing how the world is so opinionated today, and with no knowledge on what their opinions are so strong in. Because again, I see that all the time where people are like, oh, I can't stand that, you know, this or this happened. I'm like, well, what happened? Well, I don't know. I just read it, you know, or I just saw a headline. I just saw it. Yeah, and I'm like, but why are you so crunk about it? Why are you so like adamant about it? Like, but you don't know anything about it. And I'm seeing that as such an easy tool by dark forces to train the youth into thinking a certain way, and that's where we're seeing that today. And if you don't see the writing on the wall right now, our kids are gonna have to deal with it when we're not there. And my whole point is like, we got to do this now and reach the younger generation and talk to these young kids and say, hey, it's cool to be cool. It's cool to be a tattoo artist. It's cool to run your own business, but life is a little bit more than that. Yes. And if you don't activate that third eye, if you don't find that center of your faith or of something bigger than you, you're not going to be happy in life, and you're going to wonder why. Because y'all have met those people that still act like they're in high school, but they're 56 years old, and they're still talking about their friends. They're still talking about or watching Real Housewives.
The good old days.
You know, and all their life is about is drama and you know, chisme. Just.
Well, I'm a firm believer, man. Like, how do you? And I'm going to use the resilient mind. How do you build a resilient mind if you don't go through hardships? If you don't struggle? If you don't suffer? You know. But I'm also, and I'm very, very heavy on this, that you can create those suffrages for yourself. Like, you can sacrifice a little bit just to strengthen yourself up. And a lot of people don't understand that, right? Yeah. So it's like, you know, your kids, you know, sometimes you gotta let them fall and get up on their own. Sometimes you gotta say no, even though you're like, okay, this probably will be, you know, just because you have control of that suffrage, you have control of that struggle and that sacrifice, that if you don't do it, life is gonna give it to them, you know? And maybe that's what they need. Maybe that's what it takes.
That's how I'm with my daughters. I only have girls. And I made it a point not to baby them, and you know, if they hurt themselves or whatever, I treated them like I would treat a little boy. You know, like, it's all right, get up. You're not hurt like that. You'll be all right. Obviously, there's times you're just like, fuck, they hurt themselves. Like, I gotta be daddy right now. But
and when it's that loud mouth open, painful face, but nothing coming out. Like this.
No, but also it's the way you respond. You teach them that all they gotta do is cry, and you're gonna be right there. So you're developing a system, right? You're teaching them something. You're always teaching, rather, you know, the kids or
verbally and non-verbally,
your friends. You know, you're always giving out a lesson. So it's complicated to stay in your own mind and say, okay, I gotta be firm. Because sometimes it's easy to just be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, you know, you kind of like be lenient. But I think, you know, while you have them at home, while you have them at this age, you have that control to be like, look, suffer a little bit, you know, like we're gonna get up early on Saturdays and cut the grass, you know, and they're like, fuck, I hate this shit. Oh, I hate that, you know. But man, you teaching them work ethics. You know, and then when they're ready to go into the work field, they know what hard labor is. Okay, maybe I should study a little bit, or maybe I should focus more on my books. You know. I don't know. That's just my thought, but I've seen it, you know, because this community that I was in, man, it was a faith-based community. It was a Catholic community, but it was for addiction, right? So I haven't really talked about it too much, but I'm gonna introduce it a little bit, man. I went through a 12-year cocaine addiction. Hard, heavy, man. I'm talking about, I don't know how I didn't die, you know? But this is why I know God had a plan for me, and God pulled me out of it, you know? But this community is complete, it's free. You don't pay shit. It's all by the providence of God, right? So we have a place to stay. We have 3 meals a day. And we have clothes, and we're blessed, you know. I mean, what else can you say except you got to pray, you got to be up early, and you got to work. So we tend to ourselves. We have a garden, we have a wood shop, we have a metal shop, we have landscaping. We have duties that we have to do, and you kind of go through them all, you know. I went in there at 36 years old, you know. I'm a grown ass man, you know, acting like a kid, like you were talking about, you know. But I have to be strong enough and man enough and humble enough to say, that's what I was, you know. I was immature, I was lacking self-control, I was lacking manhood, whatever, you know. I had 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds that were in the program already 2-3 years in, telling me what to do, you know. I started chipping in my pride and like making me feel some kind of way, you know. But it took some time to realize, like, man, dude, like life is serious, and life is real, and life is beautiful, and the way that we live our lives, people do see that, and people do adapt stuff from our lives and from our lives, whether it's good or bad, you know, like whether it's like, well, you know, I have nephews and nieces. I don't have any kids of my own yet, but 4 older sisters of my nephews and nieces, and like, you know, to them I was the shit, you know. But so if I'm smoking weed, oh man, smoking weed's cool, man, you know, Uncle Pablo smokes weed. But as like now, I'm like, fuck, you know, I taught him that, you know. So, you know, long story short is that I learned and I had to by suffering, but that suffering was life, the full weight of the world on my shoulders, crushing me, and it was either gonna fight or I was gonna give up, you know. So I chose to fight, you know. I chose to say, okay, it's a 3-year program. Hard, dude. They wouldn't have TVs, wouldn't have phones. You go back to the old days, you know, like kind of like outcast it, you know what I'm saying? But it helped me, you know. And I personally feel like I needed that extreme, you know, like that was exactly what Pablo needed, you know. Yeah. But that's why now, you know, my girlfriend, she has a kid, you know, a 7-year-old boy, smart as it can be, too smart for his own good. But I'm seeing him like, okay, everything we do, everything we say yes, every time we say no, we're teaching them a thing or another. Sponge, yeah, so I'm trying to tell her that right now we can control how he can sacrifice, how he can suffer, and I encourage it because I know what it can do to a 12-year-old. When he's 15, when he's 20, when he's 18, you're gonna get your heart broken. Oh, what do I do? You're gonna resort to drugs, or you're gonna resort to crime, or you're gonna resort to womanizing. I don't know, you know, and all these things play a part in our existence, but the programming that is in America or in the world, it teaches that it's okay to have vices. It's okay to steer off the right path, you know what I'm saying? Just go to work and pay your taxes, you'll be all right. So that's not a resilient mind, you know? Like we have to be strong and we have to be a beacon, right? Is that the right word?
Yeah. I mean,
like a beacon of God.
It works.
You know, a beacon of light to say like, damn, like, okay. Like you say, you know, I work at the gym. I had to open the gym at 5. If I'm not there at 5, the gym's not gonna be open. I get there at 4:45. There's people already waiting. So it's like I feel like, man, like I have a responsibility, you know. So it's like that's a sacrifice, you know. I don't necessarily have to work at the gym, but I know that I quit my main job to start this Ruffled Feathers Podcast, you know, and you know, it's fun and it's what I wanted to do, but it's definitely work. And it's definitely a sacrifice and a huge offering, you know. But it's also like, okay, I know I need a little bit of structure, so I chose to work at the gym, give a little bit, you know, and it's perfect. It aligns with what I need to do, you know. So, but yeah, this is just a little bit of my story. But
well, I think you segue pretty well for the next bit because my main complaint is how comfortable we are in this country because we don't live a world like in Africa and Somalia or Afghanistan where, you know, you don't have a Starbucks everywhere. You don't have a Jack in the Box to go grab some food. You don't have a supermarket that has got everything. You don't have all the choices in cereal and milk and eggs and all that. And whether we like it or not, even in the hood, we're spoiled. And we don't know what's coming because a lot of us have never lived that hardship. And we, you know, taken in you know, to case all these college kids that are complaining about gender and like how privileged you have to be able to even argue about that.
Yeah.
You know, how
You know, the other
peaceful of a
countries- the
country.
other countries,
Yeah.
they don't tolerate it.
Yeah. It ain't even a subject of
They
conversation.
don't, yeah.
tolerate
There's
it,
no
man.
room for
There's
it.
no,
They
there-
don't
there's no
tolerate
even question that you would question that.
Right, right.
So I had this dude that worked for me here, and it was crazy because he was actually part of like this big board or government over in Africa, right? So every year he had to go back, and they had this big meeting and stuff like that.
Okay.
So he said over in Africa, if somebody found out you were homosexual, or if you spoke out about the government, they would literally come and swipe you out at night, and you would be gone.
Gone.
They
Yeah,
would you would
for
disappear.
sure.
If they
No
found out you
tolerance.
was gay or you spoke out against their government, you were gone. They would kidnap you in the middle of the night.
I mean, imagine that. That's their reality.
That's their reality.
You know? And then they're gonna come over here and be like, "Oh, you're confused. You think you're a girl? You have a penis."
Yeah.
you know,
Dude,
like,
no,
I mean,
like
think about it.
it's so I've been out, like I mentioned earlier, like I've lived out of the country. I lived in the Caribbean, man, for 3 years, you know, and like, man, just to see the differences, like we're talking about, you know, like with that, and some of the differences as far as convenience, you know, like, dude, it's some of the stuff over there is like so weird. Like we would go under like water advisory, right? Like, but it's not like a water advisory like where the quality of the water, it's at a certain time you won't have water. So like they would turn the water on from like 8 to 12, right? And then you can do what you need to do. The water will go off and it will come back on again at 5.
Yeah.
And it'll be on from like 5 to 8. After 8 o'clock, dude, you're not getting any water. Or
No
like
matter what you do,
no matter what you
say.
do, no matter what you do, what you say, you're not getting any water. Or with the power, their power company was 6 generators that powered the whole island.
So where
If
is
the
this?
diesel
What
truck-
island is this?
St. Kitts, St. Christopher and Nevis.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if that was a diesel like container ship that would come and deliver the diesel for these generators. If they didn't come,
Yeah,
guess what, man?
fuck.
Hey,
No power.
they did like rolling power, dude. So like, man, you would get power from like 8 to like, let's say 8 to 3, you know? And then they would shut the power off. So whatever zone you were in, if you didn't get any power, you just didn't have any tough luck,
Yeah.
you know? But like just to think about, dude, we would have to, my wife and I would go to 3 different grocery stores just to buy all of the groceries that we needed like for the week.
Yeah.
You know, over here, man, you go to HEB and you're good.
Yeah.
You know, you go to HEB,
Yeah,
you
you go
get
every other
everything
day.
in the middle of the day. And
Yeah.
it's always open, you know? But man, like you said, it's real humbling, you know, to experience that in the seat. You
Yeah.
know, like how these people live. But I
Yep.
tell you what, one thing that I picked up from over there that I miss so much over here, the US is so busy.
Yeah.
We're so busy.
Too fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too fast, man. We're too fast.
Yep.
Over there, man, they had a saying called rush slowly. And man, yeah, bro, it was awesome, man. So like in the mornings, dude, like when we were, cause my wife, she was going to school over there and I was getting my master's. In the mornings, bro, everybody, when we're driving to school, everybody's out on the boulevard walking. All of the, you know, older people are walking, you know, people are walking to work, you know, man, like, dude, it was like amazing. In the evenings when you get off, everyone's out there walking. You have the older people that are walking, the kids that are out there with their parents, you know, walking, exercising, you know. And over here, it's like, dude, I went from being over there, that was an activity every day.
Yeah.
You know, we were being active. We were moving
yeah.
every day. Man, and you get over here and it's like all of that just dies down. Like you can't find anything, man. But over there, like, man, in the evening, dude, it was so weird. Like, and they're so cool. I got to like work out like with their Olympic track team.
Oh no way.
Dude, yes, like it was. I was like, man, y'all didn't run for St. Kitts, and they was like, yeah, dude, we're telling you, like, we're the guys. So I was like, prove it. They pulled up a YouTube video of them actually running like in the finals at the Olympics, dude. I was like, what? I was like, no way.
Yeah.
But they're so cool,
Yeah.
man. They're so laid back, you know, and like everything was so
They're
like they're
living
so
life.
accepted. They're living life, and they're
Yep.
in touch with reality.
That's it.
They're in touch
You
with
said
the
it.
family. They're
Yeah.
in tune, you know, like with the family and stuff,
and with
man.
the earth and
Yes.
with,
The
and with
community,
Yes,
the
the
love.
people around them.
love,
Oh,
man,
yeah,
and every
man.
I, bro. So there were, all right. It's a controversial topic, but there are no guns over there, right? Yes, you know it's an island. People still smuggle in stuff. You have an occasional, like 1 or 2 maybe homicide or something like that a year, you know, but they catch them, you know, and man, it's just so like different, you know, like man, I'll tell a story. I had just dropped my wife off to school, and I was coming back home. I forgot something. I said, man, I need to run back and grab it. I think I might have forgot my laptop at home. So I parked my car out front, and we stayed around the back side of this building. So I go, you know, grab what I need. I'm coming back out, and I hear like something like ruffling around in the car, you know. So man, there's a kid that broke in the car. We had an old beat up car, man. It was like an old Pajero. It was older than my wife and I put together, probably, man. So he takes off running. So I'm like, do I chase him? Do I get in the car and chase him? So I'm like back and forth, you know? So I hop in the car, man. So I'm going after this kid. And we had some little change. He stole my hairbrush and like some little change or something in there. But I was like, man, you know, I immediately, like, I wanted to chase him. So I'm driving and I lose him. And so I don't know where he went, man. Right. So my wife's cousin was on his way to school, and they didn't have a car. So I was like, hey, man, I'll take you to school. I was like, somebody just broke in the car, dude. So I kind of saw him like off in the distance. I was like, I know where he's going. And he kind of saw me. So he kind of like stopped. And so I bring my wife's cousin to school, and I was like, I know where he's going. So, man, I drop him off, and I zoom back. And I come around the corner, and I was like, I bet you he's going to be back here. Man, he's walking, you know, thinking like, hey, man, he done got away, you know. And so, like, I pull up on him, and so he takes off running. Man, now this kid, he's got to be about maybe 13, 14 years old. And I was like, hey, man, like stop, you know. And he was like, man, no, like don't hurt me or whatever, you know. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to hurt you, man. Like, I want to talk to you, you know. Like, let's talk, man. Like, what's going on? Like, why? Because, like, there's a lot of, like, poverty over there, you know? And I was like, dude, like, what's going on? You know, like, let's talk. And I sat there and I talked to him, man. I was like, everything, I actually gave him the rest of the change and stuff that was in the thing. I was like, here, man, like, I don't know. He might have needed it way more, you know? I don't know what this, you know? But one thing I regret was not bringing him home. I should have, you know, took him in the car and brought him home. You know, to his parents. To his parents. Took him to his parents. No, like bring him back to his parents and like, you know, like, hey man, look, like I understand you don't have to do that. You know, like and I just wanted him to understand that, hey, there's a better option. And I told him, I was like, hey bro, I've heard about the jails here. I know you don't want to go to the jail here, man. Like we mentioned earlier about like the jail in El Salvador, like it's bad. They don't play. Right. You know, and I was like, it's horrible, man. So and just like talking to him. And just like, man, seeing, you could really see the pain, you know, that he had probably experienced early on, you know, and I'm like, man, this is a kid, you know, so. And
what he knows.
You know, and man, it was just, that was like a real, like, eye-opening, you know, like, experience, you know, for me, man. But yeah, man.
But it's like, imagine like if like, you know, a lot of U.S. people would never know that, would never experience that, would never even consider that, you know, like. And that's unfortunate because I mean, how do you teach that? You can't teach that. You know, it's not like you can't have a class on poverty, you know, or like what people in poverty go through and how their thought process is.
Dude, our poverty isn't even equal to poverty in other countries, right? So like in El Salvador, going there was mind opening. I really love that we were able to take our kids over there so they could see it. Because there were some houses that were just dirt floors, bamboo sticks, and plastic bags. Oh yeah, that was their house. Right? Or it was clay, no doors, you know, so, and they sleep on hammocks. They don't really have a lot of beds and stuff, but if you haven't slept on a hammock, you need to. Like, once you lay in one,
they love it. I actually dated a Salvadorian chick, too.
But, man, like, they're comfortable, but again, we don't understand poverty, right? And we have a saying, you don't work, you don't eat, but that's not 100% true here, because somebody's willing to we have, you know, like handouts, so to speak. Over there were kids, like little kids walking around selling avocados, selling ice cream that their parents made. You know, and these are 4-year-olds and maybe 8-year-olds, right? If you can walk and move, you're working the farm. You know, you're plowing the fields, you're planting corn, whatever. You know, and because if you don't, you will not eat, right? And here we have the same, but it's not the same. You can figure something out. You know,
or somebody's gonna selling shit.
Like for example. I've been looking at other restaurants in the Houston area, right? So this lady was like, hey man, I also got this rental house over there in Crosby where you're at, okay? She says, look, Section 8 will pay you $3,800 a month, and then they can pay the difference. Like, what country are you going to go to that they're going to pay $3,800 a month for you to live there? Some people don't even make that in a month, working, like really working. So you got these people that are grinding it out, going to work every day, and they can barely afford a $1,000 payment for their house,
Right.
or $1,200 or $1,500. But the government is paying $3,800 for some people, for whatever reason.
Yeah, to occupy.
You know what I mean? But it's just, it's crazy to me, man. Like, we don't understand. And it's easy for people to sit back and talk mess, about others, but yet they've never been in that situation, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm passionate about resilient mind, and I'm passionate about trying to get our message out. And anybody that wants to help others, like, get that message out.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, like, I touched the food stamp. So yeah, you know what? Like, when we grew up, we did have that assistance. I touched the food stamp, firsthand. I remember we'd go to the apartment complex, the main office, and they would come and have the little white box that have a sandwich, a fruit cup, and a fruit, right?
Wow.
So my thing is, yes, sometimes we'll have to go through hard times, right? But you have to want to change as an individual,
Yes.
and quit looking for handouts. People are like, well, I need this person to win in the presidency. I need, to me, it doesn't matter who's the president or what's going on, right?
Yeah.
All I know is I need to feed my family.
Yeah.
I need to grind. Right? I'm not looking for somebody to come and save me, and that's the biggest issue with a lot of people. They're looking for somebody to save them, and they're looking for handouts. How do you expect your life to change? Like, you have to look in the mirror and be like, nah, man, this shit ain't for me no more, right? I want to change. I want more out of life. And until we get society to do that, we're never going to change. We're just going to keep
that
getting
kind of
worse.
still goes into this next video, right? Because it's like, different parts of the world, experience different things. Like with in El Salvador, there was a time when the war was so crazy, man. And you would walk down the street and see like decapitated heads on pikes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nobody here would ever even can muster what that would feel like, or what that could do to a mind, right? Like that could ruin somebody, never want to leave the house. Yeah. And over there is normal. Little kids are walking past it, like. What was it in Iraq or stuff like that? Yeah. You want to run that?
Well, just for time, let's skip over the other one and go to her, because this goes back into how safe we are here, but we haven't felt what it is to be in a third world country, right? We haven't felt car bombs. We haven't felt true poverty.
I think,
and just to finish, to intro her, and then let me know what you think. This is Sarah Adams. She's ex-CIA. She was she basically for the CIA helps to find where threats are, and then this is another interview with her where she's speaking on how many terrorists have entered the country in the past couple years through the borders and through other ports of entry. And then, she's trying to sound the alarm on shit that might be popping off. But what are we going to...
I think we have a false sense of security.
Right. For sure. That's kind of why we're always kind of... Because we haven't had anything since 9/11, right? And even 9/11, there's a lot of holes in that situation, right? Before that was probably the random bombings that we've had at the Olympics and the what was it? That was the
Oklahoma bomber.
Yeah.
There was one in Boston, remember, with the run? But it's like real.
But they were like
mild.
domestic, or they were even the Boston bomber.
These weren't planned out, like tacticians that are organized, and we haven't really had that.
No.
And I think that they've been, like, really, like, man.
Let's watch this real quick. Run that, Alex, please.
We have not had a man walk up to a building with a suicide vest on the United States. Americans don't understand this. Al-Qaeda knows this, right? So this is new and innovative, especially now. You don't have to walk upside of the building. You can walk in the building because of the advancement of the vest. The other thing is, in the United States, we haven't had Fideian attackers. So the concept is the terrorist fights to the death. So he's not exactly a suicide bomber, but he will fight till either all of us are dead or all of his people are dead. We think it's going to be a swarming attack, right? Multiple different attacks at one time across across multiple cities. We think there will be suicide bombers just because some of the attackers went through suicide bomber training and they have these vests. And then we think there's these Fidean attackers who will carry on until they're killed.
You just rephrase that. So these guys are trained and they are going to fight until they're killed.
Yes, and that matters, right? So I was watching this video, and it was a suicide bombing in Kabul years ago. The bomber blew up, and then everyone starts moving in. The first responders move in, right? And then another guy walks in and blows up. We know this is a tactic. But if Americans don't understand this as a tactic and don't understand these attackers are going to fight to the death, think about that. Battle's going on. The attacker surrenders. He might have the suicide vest. You know, we let our guard down. That man came to die, right? He's going to fight till he dies or you dies. So we can't let our guards down, and they know our weakness. So we have to be very careful that we don't have more people die in these second and third order effects of not knowing their intent.
So I have a question. Have you guys ever, from a tactical standpoint, look at where Houston is located?
Yes. I always say that.
Dude,
it's either a good thing or a bad thing.
It's bad. It's horrible. We really have nowhere to go. Based on where we're at, we really have nowhere to go.
In terms of what?
Escaping?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you talking about escaping? Or are you talking about geographically?
And geographically, if anything were to pop off, we would get hit.
Well,
Houston would be a target.
I believe that, or we could be protected because of the Port of Houston, the stuff that we have in the plants and stuff like that, which is it was pretty much a bomb.
It's a bomb. Houston has one of the largest refineries.
But that's only if it's a terroristic attack. That's a real foreign terroristic attack. If it's a domestic terrorist attack, Houston's valuable.
Well, okay, so domestic is not going to be as bad as domestic is not going to be what this lady's talking about.
Well, domestic could be California, right? Like domestic could be 9/11.
But she's talking about
when I say domestic, you mean someone that derived from like someone that's disgruntled.
What
like here in the US,
what I
or
mean domestic is fear inflicted. Like just to say, hey, they did it, but we did it. Does that make sense?
Okay, I see.
That's just my thought.
I see what you're saying.
You mean
inside job.
Inside
job. Okay,
job. But also, I don't put anything past how deep they're willing to go.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you on that.
You know,
one,
because
for sure,
dude, like, all right, let's just say if you believe that the U.S. did 9/11, right? Let's just say if you believe that. Dude, that's like, that's like so
fucked up,
egregious, bro.
Absolutely.
Because think about all of the people that died.
Yes.
You know, so why wouldn't they blow up something?
Yeah.
Because like we were saying earlier, all of that, rebuilding and all of that stimulates the economy.
New cities,
new development.
Yeah.
You know, so
new technology. Yeah.
So, but I'm speaking more from like a actual like terrorist attack, like someone coming in, dude. Like if they wanted, like Houston would definitely
we would definitely be on the list.
Yes, man.
I agree with that. I agree 100%. Yes.
And we are. I want to say it's like us in New York, because during 9/11, I actually worked for Tyson Foods at the time, which we were the manufacturing plant, right? So as soon as 9/11 hit or it happened, we got put on red alert. So because we're manufacturing food for the United States, right? So not everybody thinks about it. And you wouldn't think, oh my God, Tyson Food needs, like a food manufacturing
food supply.
Yeah.
Yep. And we were put right away on red. Everybody, anybody in management had to get, hey, this is the deal, this is the rules, this is what we need to watch for. So it was a totally different, it was just, I don't get paid enough. You know what I mean?
I came for chicken.
So it was just crazy, man. But and yes, we are definitely in the top 3 as far as the cities to get attacked.
Yeah, to create a large impact, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, think about if they would have crashed the plane into one of those refineries.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that these refineries are just to produce, they produce fertilizer, they produce, jet fuel. But a lot of that stuff, dude, it's really for the government.
Yeah.
It's not for us.
It's government contracting.
The jet fuel that they're producing.
They don't ever lose power.
So my dad worked for a government oil storage facility. right? A lot of people don't know. Oil storage.
Oil. Sorry.
Oil storage facility. A lot of people don't know about these facilities. Like a lot of them are in like the marsh land, right? Because in the marshes you have these huge salt domes, and they store this oil inside. Instead of building a tank, they use natural tanks. They put the oil inside of these salt domes, right?
You never know.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, dude. So at his facility, right? They stored all of this oil, right? And the U.S. they have so much oil because they were the smallest site. And he was telling me that the salt domes that they had there, they could that oil, because all of that stuff is produced from oil, right? Petroleum. A lot of that stuff, they had enough there to power the military for about 3 to 5 years, right? That's how much they were storing. To power, and they were the smallest one. So like every so often, like they would have these top-ranking generals would fly in, and dude, they would come with these Apache like helicopters, and these generals would come and walk around and look at, and of course they had to like be on like best behavior. But like these sites, these dudes walk around with like AR-15s and stuff, and you got to badge in, you got to walk through, like it's tighter than the airport security. Like you got to put your lunch pill, through this thing. They go through it, and you walk through this body scanner. That's every day, in and out. But a lot of people don't know about these, that the U.S. even have these storage facilities.
Right.
And dude, it's amazing, like to think that, hey, we have all of this, here, like in the U.S. But it's so deep, like some of that stuff, man, like it's
and that takes priority.
Takes priority, like man. Yeah. But imagine if we were to get attacked at these sites. Yeah. Or like if they were to attack like one of our like nuclear plants. Right. Which I don't think that from a tactical standpoint, I don't think that they would attack anything nuclear, because any country, like let's say if they want to attack us, they're not going to destroy the land because they want the infrastructure. They just want to control it. Yeah. So it'll be a different kind of attack. Right. They might bomb it a little bit, but they're not going to destroy like the main infrastructure, because they would want to seize it and use it, and occupy it, but Houston would definitely be.
Yeah, I think it's on the list for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think the scary thing is what she's saying is that, so she references in this same video, she references the attack in Israel, and where the Hamas, those 1,500 guys killed all those people and grabbed
1,500.
There's actually over there was 1,200 soldiers, Hamas soldiers, went into that music fest they were having, and kidnapped people, killed people. Now, whether or not they were beheading babies and all that, I don't know. That might be fake news, but that terrorism act actually happened. And what she's saying is that it took them about 4 years to plan all that. And she's saying what's been happening here is they've been getting guys over here, about 1,500 minimum, Hamas, Al Qaeda, different fractions of different.
So they know that they're over here.
They know they're over here already.
But and we're focused on the Mexican border.
Well, that's where they came in.
Right.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. No, but no, you're right.
You're
not all of them.
absolutely right.
But they also, these organization groups will just, whoever wants to be on the team, this is what you can do. Yeah, they'll take them. And that's where she's making the point. Like, some of them are coming and they have schools for all this. There's a school to how to be a suicide bomber. There's a school to be the Fidea.
There's a school on how to be a suicide bomber.
Mm-hmm. They teach all these things.
Dude, can you just take a minute to think it? Like, there's a school.
Well, because if your religion is that's part of your religion. Like you sacrifice yourself, you're guaranteed certain things in heaven, right? Yeah. So you're not even thinking.
They're not even thinking.
Yeah, you're thinking I'm sacrificing myself for
and that's what makes them even more powerful or scary.
Yeah, because they create the belief.
There's no fear of death.
Yeah.
Right, wow. So but also the tactic that they're using, bro, is just saying, like, I don't know if you.
But how do they get around the fact of killing other people? Like, I wonder, how do they get around the fact?
Because to them, dude,
we're infidels,
and also eye for an eye. The first books of the Bible are you kill my brother, I kill your brother.
Yeah.
You know that you know Jesus is you know turn the other cheek and you know forgive.
Wow.
You know, so their books say, okay, you take a leg, take the other leg.
That's some wild stuff,
You
man.
know, so that's already deep rooted in their belief. So that's not even, they don't even consider that. So the Fidea, what is it?
Fidea.
That's like, okay, so you attract more people. Like there's a movie called The Kingdom. I don't know if you've ever seen that with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
And they set off a bomb because they're like, this is after the war. And
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about.
After the war, you know, any damage that we cause, we repair. We send construction companies over there and we fix it all, right?
Yeah.
So there's communities that are of Americans there, like that you live there, you go to school there, you know, because it's gonna take years, you know. So you bring your kids. So they blew up a baseball game.
Field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once the first responders come in, military comes in, everybody's helping everybody, boom, another bomb blows up. So you just took out another 2,000 people. That's what that is. So
that's what she's saying these guys are here to do.
Yeah.
So we don't know that, right? So that's what they're saying. Americans don't know. So you know, right now, if the car blows up, most likely we're gonna go help the people in the car.
Yeah.
But we don't know that there's another one waiting for us to take out more of us.
Yeah.
So this is fucked up. Like now we have to think like this. Now we have to be like, okay, our thought process has to change because it's like.
And we've created these terrorists through this military-industrial complex who creates all these wars.
Yeah.
The Tesla bomber, he talks about how in 2019 we killed hundreds of kids and children and innocent civilians in a drone strike, and the UN was about to charge us for crimes against humanity, but the administration, you know, was able to cover it up and probably pay somebody off.
Yeah.
Now, whether that was Trump or whether that was the military general saying, hey, no, don't worry about it. We'll compensate you for it. But they were ready to charge the country for that.
Wow.
So think about if that happened to us, like with 9/11, we were ready to go Afghanistan, you know?
Yeah.
Whether it was true or not, you created patriots at that moment.
Yeah.
We created terrorists at that moment, which to them are patriots.
Yeah.
So, but we're in a dangerous time right now where we've had people at the wheel who, whether they hate the country or they're so corrupt, I don't know what you would call it. If you intentionally leave the borders open, you're intentionally not doing safeguards to protect your citizens. Who is that person?
It's treason, damn it.
They're treasonous people.
Yeah.
But we're in that situation where, man, you don't know if the next baseball game you're gonna go to could be a target.
Could be a target, right?
Because what she also says is these guys don't have an actual target. It's a lot of it is on the moment. Like, hey, this is the time now.
Incremental.
And all the things are in perfect place. Attack, and then they'll send a cell. Man,
but also, dude, like during that time that the border was open, there was reports of military-age Chinese people that were sneaking in. Only men, no women, no children, and they were between the ages of 18 and 30.
Yes.
That says something, bro. You know.
And what he said about the drones being China drones in New Jersey, that lends credibility to why we saw all those Chinamen coming in at the border of military age. And we can't be walking around with our eyes closed and not ready for a potential situation like that. Yeah. And that's all part of the Ruffled Feathers ecosystem is self-preservation and awareness and realization of who's running things and letting us all know, like, hey, you know, what was Two Arms, or what was the guy on the horse in the American Revolution? Paul Revere.
Yeah. Sounding the alarm.
Yeah. And that's my shit, because I've always had that soldier complex of like, man, I always want to help someone who needs it. Like whether I put myself in harm's way. We've had people who've had ugly accidents right here at this intersection. I'm the first one out there to go see if everyone's okay. I've pulled a lady out of her car. You know, we've had fights out there. I've acted like HPD, like taking kids out of the car because they wrecked into other cars all high and shit. Like, that's just in me. And we're at that stage where, like, man, I'm overprotective of my kids right now. And that's basically where this is stemming from. And I love people.
We're a community.
Yeah.
Because it's like, think about it, dude. Like, these groups come over. They're not going to care to hear us out and be like, dude, we're on your side. We're Americans.
They're not, They don't care.
We blew them up.
America's evil.
You know, it goes back to what DeMel always says. You only know what you know. Yeah. So in their eyes, in their mind, in their heart, they're right. And then in our eyes, our mind, our heart, we're right.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But also the fact that it's like, okay, dude, like, crimes against humanity are crimes against humanity. And whether we agree and we're like, dude, what we did was fucked up, they don't care.
They don't
we're going to
care.
get taken out as equally as the ones that are culpable, you know? And they probably can't even reach the ones that are culpable.
I was gonna say we're gonna be left.
Yeah. They're the ones that are underground or somewhere else in the island.
Dude, one thing I realized, man, with like traveling a lot, like out of the country and like living out of the country, there's a lot of people that really hate the U.S. man. Like, there's a
That's
lot.
why I have a Mexican passport. No, but you're right, bro.
Dude,
And it's
for
scary
real,
and
man.
it's sad.
It is. You know, because they look at us like, they really look at us like we're a spoiled nation.
Because we are.
They really look
In
at
a
us
sense,
like,
we are.
and it sucks. But when you, all right, overall as a nation, but when you break it down to the individual, you know, like, man, there are some real beautiful people here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and like, when they meet, like when I get to talk to them, or you know, they're like, dang, like, you know, like
You're
I haven't
America.
really met.
You're America.
Yeah, you know, like I haven't really met anyone, you know, like this, and you know, a lot of times, like you're an ambassador and you don't even really want to be an ambassador,
Right?
Because you're changing someone's, you know, opinion or
Yeah,
perspective
right.
about, you know, like, oh man, we didn't know they had down to earth people or anything that lived there, you know, like. It's a lot, man.
But that's what we're called to do, you know. That's why communication and the tongue is so powerful.
Yeah.
Really powerful. Like, really powerful. And that's something people don't understand, like the power of speech. You know, like, it's crazy.
So that's why we have this. This is what we have, and this is a good way to cause it's like we can get to China and have some people hear us, you know, and understand that, and then reach out.
Like, hey, we're not all the same.
Yeah,
You know,
but
like,
also
hey.
like we're more alike than we are
Different. Yeah.
and that's one of our main you know, statements and goals, you know, to prove that. Because like I grew up in Houston, dude. I was born in Mexico. I grew up in Houston, and like my three best friends were black. The other one was from Iran, and the other one was from Russia or one of those like you know, Croatia or one of those, you know. So it's like I never saw it as like I'm only gonna hang out with Mexicans. I'm only gonna hang out with, like, you know, and it was like kind of like. I never even really realized that I had that. I just thought that's just what the world was. You know, we're all different. We all look different, but we're all the same.
We're all the same. Yeah.
And I love that. And I thank God for that, because that is a grace. That's a blessing, you know. Yeah. Look at him.
Well, I think we're done here.
Oh, you finishing up?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey, can you touch on the third eye a little bit?
Yeah. Well, the third eye's been it's been a running theme of ours for a really long time. The pineal gland is what they call it scientifically.
Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, a little.
So it's basically your thought process to be able to think greater than yourself, and having that third eye is using more than these two things that we all have. Well, most of us, some people don't have one or two working eyes.
The pineal gland is an actual part of our brain. If you split the brain right in the middle, like long ways, you know, there's a spot. So have you ever heard of the eye of Horus? It's like an Egyptian thing. That's basically the pineal gland. It's shaped like that, and it's said, and it's not necessarily true, but it's said that that's where the soul could be. But now there are scientific studies that show that there's little things they're receptors and receivers and what do you call it? Like an antenna.
Yeah.
Like it receives and it sends out signals.
Receptors, yeah.
So if we can get in tune into that, we are in tune with God. That's like the vision of God, the vision of like the collective awareness. So that's what the pineal gland is supposed to be. And now sugar attacks it, alcohol attacks it,
calcifies it, if you will.
like fluoride, all this shit that we are not supposed to be
That they
eating,
put in our food.
that they put in our food, dumbs it down. So dude, think about how low level we are because we've been programmed. It's not our fault, obviously.
Not programmed. We've been conditioned with the food and medicine.
But that's the physical form of the pineal gland and the third eye. Now what he's getting to is the more...
Just our take on why we use it now. I'm still like on the spiritual sense, like the chakras and all that. I'm not into all that, but I do believe in just the idea of the third eye just being seen above yourself, seeing, you know, because we can get so tunnel vision of our own lives And, you know, like I think that's how people get brainwashed, right? Because you're like, oh, it's all about me. It's all about me. It was like having that third eye is just saying, like, you know what, step away from yourself, be able to see things that are outside of your two eyes, your perspective.
Intuitivity. Right?
Yeah, and then use that as also one of the points of view for everyday life. So
is that the part of the body that they said like remains alive like for like I think it's like 45 seconds or something like that after you actually die?
Yeah.
Because there was a study that came out and they said that they linked it to, I want to say that's what it was. Like it remains alive like it's almost like a minute.
Yeah.
Or so like after you
actually like your heart's done and
after your hearts and everything's done. I don't know if that's it or not, but I read that one time on like an article. Scientists were studying that. I don't know.
It could be because that's where the DMT happens. You ever heard of DMT?
Yeah.
So DMT, like they turn it into a drug, obviously, but DMT only happens twice naturally in the body: when you're born, and the moment you die. And it's a chemical that gets released. So it could be from the pineal gland because it's like like my dad used to have a saying where he said, "If you want to see, close your eyes."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, think about it, dude. I mean, it's like, there's things like, the only example I could use is the 9/11. I don't have cold proof that we did it, but something inside of me tells me there's foul play. That's my third eye telling me that, And that's me, my personal opinion, but it's just to give you an example.
Well, that goes back to that, the part, apparently, I don't know how true this is, but apparently the plane that crashed into the Pentagon crashed into the part where the money went missing.
That's
so
exactly.
It was destroyed.
Yeah, because
like in the plane crash.
Donald Rumsfeld, he was already bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
And then too, there's no footage of a plane or plane parts.
So
but then why it was proven that the FBI literally went around and got the businesses to give up all their tapes and all their cameras footages from that. Why?
Right.
But we're conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Like at what point should you just be a little bit more detective and Batman and be like, let me cower through these.
Like, hold on.
Yeah. Okay. If that happened for sure. Logically, there's now probable cause, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just go from there and use your discernment, use your third eye, use your logic, use your faith, use whatever. But don't be blind to it. And if you are going to be blind to it, don't be opinionated about it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
At the least, shut the fuck up and let other people who know more at least bring it up.
At least, yeah.
Because sorry, but they say like, the third eye could be evil and is against God and all that, but it's like, what if all that is bullshit too? Like, what if we are more in tune with the elements, with the nature, with one another? Because they say like our hearts actually radiate, and when we're together, they actually start radiating, spreading out more, stronger. Because we are living organisms, dude. Like we have. We're
all organic.
Everything is waves,
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but there was the thing they showed in California, like they were starting to get crowds that started to accumulate to try to protest, and they're using this weapon that radiates
the sound.
The sound. It's like a sound, but you don't hear it, right? It's just like all of a sudden you just feel uncomfortable. Everything in our existence is waves, man. And if y'all are into that, or if resonates, look into that, man. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
It's a lot, man.
It's a lot
out there. We don't know about all of the testing and stuff that they do. Behind closed doors. That's just like with Bill Gates now. Have y'all been seeing what he's been doing? All this stuff, like, man, I'm just.
You got Ruffled Feathers, man. We've been in the shit for a while, and
him and his dad have been doing some crazy stuff. Crimes stuff against humanity too.
Yeah,
but that goes even to India. How all these farmers committed suicide because he went over there and regulated how to farm and how to get the seeds, and all these farmers are like, well, we can't. We're poor farmers. We just provide for the community. He's like, nope. The government said no, and then all these people lost their farms, and what he's doing here, like people aren't waking up to it fast enough. I think we are. There are plenty because of the social media and the internet, but I just think we need to do it a little bit quicker.
But what is he? Microsoft or what is it? Software.
Yeah, I think
profession, right? What does he have to do with vaccines and food?
Right, that's what I
medicine.
It's
philanthropy is what he says.
he was.
Is that what he says?
Yeah, but he was at he did like a seminar, and he said that if they do a good job with the vaccines, they'll reduce the population by like 10 to 15%.
Oh, yeah, the TED Talk.
He actually said that. And I'm like,
bro.
what? Like, did nobody else hear this?
You saw
know?
there was another where he released the mosquitoes when he was having another one of these talks in a room of people, like, and he just released them, and I was just like, who would do that? Like,
Right.
No, but
I would like try to kill the mosquito in here for us.
But in that same whatever he was doing, he mentions how we're gonna release it in poor areas. Like, bro, he doesn't hold his tongue.
He doesn't hold it. He says, like,
and people still behind it to this.
Yes.
Even with the murder.
People research, like if people research, they've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Population control. Like it's just.
But this is the first time we've had this, at least within our epoch, that we've had this type of ability to communicate in real time. Like obviously back in I guess what, before the 1900s, you would never know about the earthquake in Haiti. You would never know about the tsunami in Japan.
Yep.
So, but now we know in real time.
It's like that.
It's like that, and we have we're all reporters now. We all have a phone and a camera and a mic.
The press.
And they're trying to suppress that now too. So it's time to wake up. That's what we're here for. Ruffled Feathers. It's been a pleasure meeting you gentlemen.
Yeah, it was great.
I had a great show with you.
Yeah. So next we have to have you guys over, man.
Yeah, you let
Come
us
on
know,
up,
man,
show
and
you mine.
you know, keep on pushing, man. That's a good movement, man. Y'all doing
Yeah.
a good thing, and God's gonna make a way for y'all,
Same
man.
For all of us.
For all of
man.
us.
For all of us.
Yeah.